getting. Okay. So to our presenters, we do allot 20 minutes for a report, and I'm hoping that when our advisor had reached out to you all, that you came prepared here to provide this information to the committee. So at this time, when you're going to be speaking, could you please introduce yourself and your title and your affiliation with which entity? So Chief Kodon Linigin Hatidit off for 20 minutes. Starting at 11:56 a.m.
Great. Yeah, hey, so, she, I've been in, she go. She show what they said, it was, she, and she would put by question. But I mentioned. I already, NECO board chairman, but that's a fact. So, he did. ARPA funds, the, no, on the, Great. Great Smith, a deputy general manager, no. Hey, by the shot.
Just maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It's a financial statement, the because the report of independent auditors of financial statement. The ARPA, because the organizational chart, the comment. So.
Peggy, can you read those out?
Then the board of directors, list of, hand up a comment.
Okay, but I see me then. I'm sorry about that, Mr. Smith. Go ahead.
So again, the financial statement again, I don't know if you want to go through it. Or the
So since Ms. Yazi is here, can we take the so this report is supposed to be getting the ARPA update report. Where are we at in terms of the bathroom addition since Ms. Yazi's here? I don't know, we can go ahead and dismiss her, and then we can get the other information while we read what you had provided here to us. So if we can just get update on the ARPA initiative, because that is coming up against a deadline. I believe Controller McCabe gave us till the end of December of this year.
Okay, thank you. The ARPA projects again, a work orders, give it to issue it. So I'm just gonna go right into the projects that we're working on now. Bathroom addition again. We completed 473 and in progress is 71. There was 154 bathroom additions that were removed off of the work orders. And we have 9 on hold. So the work orders, it is assigned as of today, we have 23 for bathroom additions. And then you go down to bathroom renovations / assessments. As of today, we have completed 1,359 assessments in Conelats area. In progress, we have 182 that were recently issued to us in commendation. The bathroom renovation construction completed 151. In progress is 42. As of today, they got up So those are the numbers that we have. As you know, that our contract started out with $150 million. Signed it, yeah. And then there was 100 million that was removed off of our contract, which puts us at 50 million. And then they gave us back, they moved it back up to 99 million. ROE cut 93 million decision. With the comments that were made about a month ago, saying that there might be more monies that's gonna be taken back. So quite a caution on that too. So we've been building both bathroom additions and renovations and doing assessments for both renovations and additions. It's entrepreneurs, Michigan. أخوتي لك شنو تعال.
Good afternoon, RDC Committee, Candace Yagi, Shad Torajini, Nishlan, Nanisha Touching, Bashishi, Kinlichi Dashanella, Dashasha Dashate. I am here, now that I know that it's regarding ARPA updates. I'm understanding, I didn't understand it before because it wasn't listed on the agenda here, but now I know it's about ARPA updates. And what I can update as it relates to DCD is that 3 of the oversight individuals handling project management partially haven't been paid since April. And between DCD and OOC, we are working on the project management oversight. However, as Mr. Smith indicated, they are in progress with a lot of the bathroom additions currently, as indicated in their report that they provided. And that is the update from DCD.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break up your time just a little. I got your time here for this ARPA projects, and I know that colleagues, this has been a very important issue in regards to ARPA because the report that Controller McCabe had given to the Navajo Nation Council last week was in regards to funds that initially are still idling into sections of the enabling ARPA legislation. And with that, Mr. McCabe has been granted that authority under the legislation that was amended to the ARPA legislation last summer council. So Controller McCabe has been deciding on what funds aren't going to be the dollar amounts that may not be committed or encumbered by the end of December of this year, because again, it is under the US Treasury guidelines that the projects have to be built out. So again, we've heard the information in regards to the amount of projects colleagues and some of them that are still in queue. So I don't know if you have any questions on the ARPA projects at this time, colleagues, to NECA and DCD. Let me go ahead and give it to Honorable Claw and then to Honorable Aroso. And again, colleagues, this is just to the ARPA Giteya, then we'll go ahead and ask questions regarding NECA's financials and everything else. Honorable Claw?
So, Madam Chair, I do want to request that the statistics that were given to us regarding how many bathroom additions have been completed and those that were in progress, if we could get a hard copy of that, has that been sent over? That would be my first question. And then, based on that, as you did mention, there is a question that was posed to the council as far as the funding that has been encumbered. So to my understanding, as was mentioned here, they do have $99 million that they should have received. And based on that money that was given to NECA, then that would be how they have already encumbered the money. Now, I don't know specifically what the number of bathroom additions that should have been completed with the 99 that was given to them. In addition to that, council did make amendments to the legislation that would have included the bathroom renovations. So I would like to see a separation of which were bathroom additions and which were bathroom renovations. And then I also would like to ask a question regarding OEH. To my understanding, as they started with their bathroom additions, that some of the individuals were not vetted properly with OEH, and to me, that may have posed a problem, but if we could hear of the challenges that NECA has encumbered while completing ARPA. I know at some point, the RDC was also being accused of not moving the funding forward as bathroom additions were miscommunicated as having to require a home site agreement. However, after much discussion, it was also prevailed to the public as well as council that a home site agreement or home site lease is not required for a bathroom addition. So since that has been clarified, what has that done as far as the projects? Has that increased? Or what challenges have you seen? And I think some of those that we have heard is that although these homeowners do have a home site, they may not have the infrastructure. So a lot of these bathroom additions are being completed without the necessary infrastructure, such as the hookup to water lines. And out of that, how many are in that situation where they do not have water lines, but they do have a bathroom addition? So I think we do need to discuss that as well. I know that's an issue that DCD is currently wrestling with it as well, because they are providing, I'll just use an example, these bathroom additions, but like CHID homes as well, and they have no water lines, they have no electric lines, and these homes are sitting idle. So the same may be happening with the bathroom additions, but we have not received any reports to this committee. And so I think it's very important now that we do have those numbers in front of us, as well as the information of the challenges. And the only information we have here is just the financials, the organizational chart, and the audit information from NECA. We do not have any information as far as the ARPA, but we do want to see that. And then my question to DCD is, we're talking about project management and how they have not been paid. But the same question posed to DCD would be similar to NECA. Is that what work orders are they currently working on? And are they working on not only the bathroom additions, but are they also working on CHID ARPA? And how are they differentiating their time towards each of those ARPA projects? And I think that for those that are listening online, there was the $2 billion that was given to the Navajo Nation. Those were all allocated through the legislation. And so part of that is like the section 11, section 3, and then also chapter regional. And what I've seen is that due to the overlap of services that are required, a lot of our chapters are sitting there waiting for these IDIQs to get out to their communities as well to assist with their ARPA projects. And that's what I heard at the Central Agency Council meeting this weekend, is that chapters are waiting for DCD and the project managers and the IDIQs to get back out to the chapter. But if they are working with NECA and other enterprises and trying to get these ARPA infrastructure projects going, and I think they need to let us know which is their priority. And so those are some of the questions that I have. In regards to that, I would like to know which project managers are on board with DCD, the names of the individuals and their contact information, as I have yet to receive any of that, so that I could also refer those to chapters when they need information. And then at what point does DCD also submit a report to RDC to let us know of their expenditure levels? And if they're not going to meet that, by December. We only have a month left, so I would request for that information by the 1st of December. So that if need be, legislators can drop legislation to begin to move those funds. And one of the ones that I'm currently looking at is the CHID ARPA, and also just defunding that and moving it over. So one of the big things that council has also been talking about is this hardship program for a lot of our Navajo constituents. There has been an account set up regarding hardship, and so we have a lot of pressure from our constituents stating that they are interested in hardship, as many of these individuals do reside not here on their reservation, but off reservation, but they do vote on the Navajo Nation. And they feel that they are entitled to receiving some of the hardship so that they can offset costs to their home and their livelihoods as well. So we will have to look at that, and unfortunately with RDC, we are the oversight with many of these enterprises as well as divisions that have most of the ARPA funding. So it's going to fall upon this committee to do a thorough review and assessment of the funds. And I think that with just today being October, we may have to push our committee to get these reports. And so that would be my recommendation to you, Madam Chair, but those would be my questions for both parties here. Thank you.
Hagoshi, so before I yield time over to Honorable Chair Otto colleagues on the agenda, it does state that we're looking at financials for NECA, the org chart, and then information on the board. But I think the main topic of the discussion here should be in the realm of ARPA. And since NECA provided us the financials and the required documents, I'd like to go ahead and see if we can defer this topic to a later time when colleagues have a question on the financial NECA. Right now, the focus is on ARPA right now. So if I can get concurrence, can we do that?
Yes, we can give you.
Fukushi, Fugona. So we'll go ahead and do that to the NECA representatives here. Data financial, if you want them back and then provided to us later again. Okay, but this particular discussion will be in the realms of ARPA Ishta. So with that, let me go ahead and yield time over to Honorable Chair Otto.
Thank you. Yeah. I just have a few, and one, the first one is pretty much alluding to the K counts. And the K counts are pretty much what's in your, I think, section 11, bathroom addition, correct? That's section 11. Yeah, so the section of 11 regarding the bathroom addition portion of that is subjected to a policy that is incorporated into the actual enabling legislation that that was legislated by the 24th Council on regarding the ARPA monies. And these K counts that are tied to the deadline. One of the first mechanism deadline that's coming up is June 30th. A lot of the K count monies that are still identified as K count will revert to hardship automatically. It's already there. It's already legislated in law. So I don't council it's already there. That timeline. So in this case, the timeline pertaining to the K count that you have on the on section 11, your timeline right now is 6, 7, 8.5 months to expend the dollars. So, and I think that from Navajo Engineering Construction Authority, to really realistically what you guys really can really manage. On these, what we could actually, expend. I know that you're bringing in third party pertaining to subcontractors. And that's good, that's good. We have our Navajo subcontractors working. It's good that you're trying to get them there and that shows us that you're trying to spend those dollars and what was referred to about $99 million. I don't know what the number is. But, the more contractors you get in there to build bathroom addition or to renovate the bathroom addition, which the current policy has been amended to. The other is that, NECA, I think that, when we come back to the table, we need to bring the information on how the, how IHS plays a role as in the selection of individuals who are moved forth from community development to NECA as a contract as issued for a number of bathroom addition or projects. That mechanism that ECD does, I think we need to bring that out. Because the way I understand it is that when a person is recommended for bathroom addition, in terms of whether it's to the delegate or through, they refer it through, community development, and then they get the documents together and they shoot it to NTA or IHS to determine a feasibility study. And based off of that feasibility study, that information is relayed to how I understand it, back to DCDs, and yes, IHS says it's feasible. Or IHS says this is not feasible because they're 10 miles away from the nearest water line. There's no gravity hill around to have gravity system installed, cistern system. And there's no electricity. So they would put that not feasible. So IHS would make that recommendation. And at the same time, NTA does that. I think that clarity needs to be brought up because I think a lot of people think that once a name is submitted, they're on there and they're gonna get service. They're gonna get a bathroom addition or something like that. But I think that part really needs to be brought to the attention of the council. But that's how I understand it. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But that's how I understand to determine the eligibility determination. And that allows NECA to move forward with their on-site determination. Where the bathroom dish is gonna sit, or what type of structure is gonna be put up, or an upgrade. I think that question needs to, or that needs to be brought to the attention of the council so that they understand. That I had the privilege to work with Indian Health Service years ago, and so when it came to the determination of the feasibility status. Okay, so Indian Health Service has to determine that the home that's gonna get the addition and going to be served by IHS in a future project needs to be determined feasible by NTA or IHS. And it's referred and given to NECA to go ahead and proceed with installing the bathroom addition. The other is that I think NECA one other thing that you need to explore is I know that, see, IHS not sure, correct? IHS has not been awarded any district scatter projects for over so many years. This is a conversation from my direct I just, district out to the city. There's no scattered projects that have been funded. And those scattered projects are something that will help these homes that are put out there. For, they're just a scattered site from ARPA. And I think that NECA, one way to entertain this and is that maybe do a, do a scattered project proposal to the nation. And maybe do a 100 homes connection for homes within that could get served by service line agreements and 1-inch health services within 200 feet. With the whole hookup, with the whole septic system. And this is like a regular IHS staff project. And I think that you guys are able to manage that. We already have the listing. The listing composes of the homes that were identified with church. And pertaining to the ARPA homes, so the homes that are put up there that don't have existing water and sewer. That goes the same for NT-Way whenever they come before the nomination. I want to ask them to propose the same thing. Propose a scattered connection, small connection within 1,500 feet or less. So that, the meter loop could be set up and, we could find a way, we could go in and serve that. And maybe work with Light Up Navajo. On the 24th council, I went to fund 2 Light Up Navajo projects. One got funded and then one got, hand. One was to fund materials in the amount of $1 million because these dollars were gonna buy materials. Because the work was gonna be brought in, working with other utilities across the nation to do the labor for free. And then the next piece of legislation was to pay for the AAV, the archaeological clearances, and if it's required. The service line agreements, you still have to get an archaeological clearance. Even with the the home that you're gonna serve, you're gonna still need some sort of clearance. Whether it's a Team E, whether it's ARP clearances or whatever. And that was shot down, that was shot down. They said, no, we don't need to fund it. But that's the area that I'm now going to struggling to pay for the archaeological clearances when they had to pay for it. But I think in this case that, these scattered projects are very vital for these homes that are being, and that are in contract 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then a lot of them may not have connection, but at the end of the day, we're still gonna have to foot the bill. And I think that somewhere we're gonna have to find that mechanism or look internally, maybe NT-Way may not utilize all of the money that has been allocated to them for that purpose. They can maybe reshuffle some of these dollars. And I think that legislation that we passed allows them to do that. So with the power side, maybe they could get into that mode, so that the meter loop could. To get a meter loop set up, just a meter loop, $5,000, 200 amps. That's, people can't afford that. 100 amp meter loop set up is $2,500. That's just the whole with the meter loop and with the weatherhead on there, and it's not even connected to the transformer. So it pays a lot in there. And I think that's where I think when you really come together, even when I was at IHS, the number for a scattered project for everything house service at 100 feet and septic system installed 2 lanes at 78 feet was installed. I think it was like 51,000 or something. That's what it costs. That's with labor, equipment, and distributors. Right now, that number is high. And I think that's the information that we need. So that, we need to propose a scatter project at some point so that we can get these people water and sewer or septic system water or connected to community sewer or connected to electricity at some point so that we can help with there because inside the CHID legislation for housing, it does not say infrastructure. It says housing. Even the bathroom addition legislation, it only says bathroom addition and there was a renovation. Nowhere in it says infrastructure. So we do have the numbers of homes that could be served for scattered project. So I think that's the one that your engineers could start looking at. And working with maybe with Indian health groups. We try to get something and get something in place and we'll try to start closing that gap at some point. Thank you.
Bushing, thank you, Chair Otto. So let me go ahead and yield gavel over to Vice Chair Johnson.
Thank you, Speaker. So at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the floor over to Madam Chair Seuss. She does have some comments and questions.
Yeah, it's not English, not only and our visitors that are here, and also to NECA and Division of Community Development. As chair of the Resources and Development Committee, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of communication. There is a big communication gap right now from NECA and also DCD just to even keep this leadership up to speed on the challenges and even some of the accomplishments and what are some of the barriers that both of these entities are experiencing. And not only that, the bathroom renovations. We haven't gotten a formal report from Division of Community Development in regards to the Section 3 and Section 11 in regards to who is monitoring that from DCD. I know that delegates have been filling or having constituents fill out applications and we've been giving them to the staff then that are under FRF, but who's monitoring these now? So in response to my question number one, when a constituent from a chapter, I know some of the deadlines have already passed for a bathroom renovation. Who gets that application? Is it DCD? And then what happens to the application from there? Okay, now NECA, in regards to these, can you provide some sort of a breakdown to give every delegate region how many applications were submitted, how many were assessed, how many of them were denied due to whatever conditions of their existing structure?
Yep.
We don't know none of this information. We're here to make a decision. And it's just like going in there blindfolded. We don't even know. Budget and Finance Committee asks us RDC these questions. Or even our other colleagues on the other committee. But we need constant update reports. We shouldn't have to bring you in like this to get a report. So y'all show that because these are federal dollars and we are up against timeline. Now, another point that I also want to make, and I think I've sent out emails, Director Yazzie, what is going on with Work Order 5 for CHID? Because this kind of goes back off of the same discussion because of the water and wastewater line extensions that need to go to the recipients of these homes. I'm afraid that St. Michael's chapter community is not going to be getting no homes because of the fallout with Zenny Homes. We haven't gotten not even one response in writing as to what is going on. We go over there to Mr. Delguy's office. He's never in the office. His door's always closed. I even left in writing on a clear paper, and I told the staff to tape it on his clear door in hopes that I would have gotten a call back from him, which is 2 weeks ago now. I don't know if every communication to a delegate has to filter through you, but you need to get on the ball as a division director to get these responses out. Because how do we give this response to our constituents when they're asking us? Yesterday, I was at St. Michael's chapter meeting and I was being asked about bathroom additions and the renovation applications they submitted. And I don't know who to, so right now we need a better structure with DCD and NECA, if we can just get that information shown, because what I usually do as the chair of this committee is whatever information is shared with us, I send it to the full 25th nomination council so that my colleagues are also informed about just where everything is at. There's other departments that send quarter reports. GLAD and also Fish and Wildlife, they send reports to us, and that's also sent out to our other colleagues. So this is very imperative. Now, these numbers were given to us, and I do appreciate the sharing of information, although the adequate information wasn't shared with you in regards to you being on RDC agenda today. But if we can get these responses, or even in writing, your workflow diagram or your process now internally, that would really help us. Because right now, I just think that we just go everywhere to try to get answers. And I think our frustration at the end of the day is that we don't get an answer. And that's the reason why we're frustrated. And yet we are the appropriators. So, those are the questions I have, and I'd like a response. I appreciate it. Thank you, Pro Temp Chair.
Well, thank you, Chair Seuss. I'll like to turn the floor over to our DCD Director, Xiaozi, and NECA.
Thank you for the comments and questions. Now that I know that the questions are all mostly revolving ARPA, unfortunately, I don't have the staff here, so I will definitely answer as much as I can. And I think between NECA and I will have to bounce back and forth, but I can give you some answers that I heard. So let me go back to Delegate Claw. The PM not being paid for the Section 11 ARPA funded project through the IDIQ. Lamb is the IDIQ contract holder, and he had a work order to assist with the Section 3 and Section 11. And through Lamb, they had hired a subconsultant called Consensus Planning, and that particular project has not been paid since April. And between the director of FRF and myself, we're trying to chase down that payment with OOC. As we all know, there's lots of red tape and bureaucracy that we go through to get our contractors paid. So since middle of September, Lamb has stopped working. And between us, and I'm here today, otherwise I try to be working to find that invoice to get her paid. And that's Lamb. So that is Section 11. And like I said earlier, though, NECA is still proceeding with Section 11 work orders, and they can update you on the work order numbers that you had asked for. I'll go to Delegate Autostove's questions about mechanisms for clients. I'll defer that to NECA as they've been integrally involved with the process there. I agree, and just so everybody is aware, the management for ARPA on DCD side, a lot of the focus since I got here was catching up. As you know, I got here in January, and I'm not a career Navajo Nation employee. So I'm having to catch up, and I think I did. So what I ended up doing is hiring project management to represent DCD and assist with the overall model of how the work was to flow within the CHID ARPA. So with that, knowing that the CHID ARPA didn't include utility coordination, we had spearheaded understanding that entire thing. And you may not have been copied on the correspondence, and I apologize for that. To every single RDC member, I apologize for my failure in getting you this information, but a lot of it had gone to the controller, because a lot of the conversations being had were, how much is it gonna cost to get people connected, to get potential applicants connected? And because the process of construction typically is, you know, planning, design, and construction, well, it's backwards. So we're catching up with planning right now. And that's could be good and could be bad, but we're moving along in a good direction. So what we've accomplished so far is prioritizing CHID ARPA applicants. And since I got here, starting in March, we started doing utility coordination meetings. And those were great because we did have IHS in the room. We had a lot of departments. And we were able to prioritize our lists. So you'll notice that some people, and if you saw the post on the Facebook page of the President Nygren last week, in fact, we were at Crown Point, and the applicant had actually got her keys turned over. And I was happy to see that she had her own connection to the water line and her own connection to sewer. And all she was doing was saving up for her electrical connection fee to send to Continental Divide. So the priority was for recipients closest to utilities. And in our coordination meetings, NTUA was prioritizing those people. So all of our files, our KMZ files, our discussions with IHS, all of that was happening. Beginning, we were transferring files between these different entities in order to get some progress. And with that, we were also able to develop a high level cost of legislation or requests from the controller for additional dollars way back in maybe June. And back then it was about 115 is what we guesstimated for utility connections, utilizing our takeout quantities and our coordination efforts at that. I can get you that report today, once I get back to the office and go through my emails, and I can send that to you. So I hope that answers your question, Delegate. So we've been working on all that coordination between NTUA and the other entities within Navajo Nation. Delegate Jesus, I agree, and I apologize for not giving you reports. However, there are updated reports with the president's information that he submits quarterly. And then also at the agency council, we were where the staff are often there and give the reports there. And you can also find them online. And that one is pretty slick because they give it between the delegate regions. And if I missed anything, what's going on with work order number 5? Well, what I can share is that the remaining dollars from work order 4 since July, we've been trying to de-obligate and obligate. And that's another thing I need to chase around with OMB to get those money moved into a different line item so we can issue work order number 5. And that's definitely priority for all of us, so meaning the entire ARPA CHID staff. And I'll just iterate that between the ARPA CHID management team of approximately 15 people, we are all working super hard to speak, if not every day. The flow is finally going, and right now I believe we have 130 as of last week. There was a 2-week weather delay beginning of October, but they are now turning keys over to ARPA recipients. And I expect the key turnover to catch up in November. And that'll be 130 out of 200 homes turned over to applicants. And some applicants or recipients, I should say, some recipients do have, like I said, utilities. Some don't. But NTUA and DCD management team are coordinating those connections amongst themselves. So and like I said earlier, I can get the ARPA team in here and we can talk further when whenever you schedule that. That's not a problem. And let's see, I think I answered all the questions. I will now turn it over to NECA.
A contract amount again, it's about this. When the contract was first initiated, it was for $150 million. Out of it, it took $100 million back from us, so it went down to 50. And then they gave us back another, going back up to 99 million. So right now, as of today, it's at 93 million. Requested. Okay. Auto, the money was not given to NECA, it'll basically, what we do is we build the projects with NECA's money. Auto into the invoice is, I could, we can get it now, so 850 million here, 99 million on here. So we're using NECA funds to build the bathroom renovations, additions, and doing the assessments. It became into that, so that they approve that in auto into the NECA invoicing is, put on to last. Quick plan. I don't know if I should say this, but toch gaan je niet gegeven. Ayun Hanan. Ayun is good. We have to budget our money. How much cash do we have? Can we do this? And with the tariffs, and the funds, and I let that they skip. Which won't either. A quick bossy kill business. A separation of bathroom additions and bathroom renovations. We can do that. I've done with idea. So all we need to do is break it out and give it to the RDC committees. ROD challenges. The first one is supplies. There's what very few lumber yards here. Koani Laman Dahini. Kobitsan low that play article. So we're constantly struggling with that. Some of these items are not available, so they're what they call long lead items, like 2 months to 3 months in the 100. So quite a nice kid. The Navajo Engineering Construction Authority, we hit contractor. We don't have a say on who gets selected or who gets approved or how the list is approved. AADCD, though, IHS, though chapters, though, I think the council value also play a role in that. It's what shaded in. So we get a work order. A work order can be that's how we start the work going forward on building renovations, additions, or doing assessments. It could case in that. So again, homesite lease, we don't have a say in that. Issue a ECD Navajo Nation does it, that's water and wastewater, we're working with NTUA on that. I said to the crew, no, I thought with this, they provide us a list of names. And that's how we build those. Okay, we are not involved with CHIP or the vet program. Issuing the contract, we're either housing, water and wastewater, don't make a this contract be about it. So that's not a part of NECA. There was a comment made on A&E contracts, yeah. We are headed in that direction. But a year ago, obviously, back we could. 8638 kan hit aan A&E is eager go. As long as a sign is Canada, it's and the reason for that was because we can do it a lot quicker using subcontractors to accomplish that. We should have started that like 8-9 months ago. But we're a year behind. The services that we're gonna provide under that A&E is delayed. Maybe in 6-8 months as it implemented all the So Ika was a question on how the list is developed. And I think I already answered that question. It's ECD, chapters, we do get calls from homeowners. When am I gonna get my services done? The only thing we do is we look at our list. This one, at least budget a call go on to coalition. Visit of a call the way DCD one that chapter one that council building, which then could have did no stuff with that because they're not on the list. Quite okay. The report that DCD is requesting, we will start providing that report on a monthly basis to our oversight. We meet with them, constant communication, email, work orders, job completion. How much is this gonna cost? So we're constantly in communication. It's just a matter of putting it in writing, documenting it, and then releasing it. With that.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. This time, do you have a follow-up by Chair Sis?
Yeah, thank you for that, Chair. Director Yazi, and also to NECA, thank you for providing that in-depth information. I didn't know that NECA was on the reimbursement, I guess, process with the Navajo Nation. So that report in terms of the breakdown would really assist, not just us here on this committee, but also colleagues of the Navajo Nation Council. Now, going back to Director Yazi, in regard to the work order, do you have a proposed timeline on when this can be accomplished to deobligate and reobligate these funds under CHID in hopes that we can execute a work order 5 here within when? I need the timeline. And then also, if you need the assistance of us as members of this committee, I really think that's where it's really beneficial. The reason why I say that is, I just want to give you information. So this committee has been working with the lead of Honorable Chair Simpson's concerns. We've been meeting with attorneys, bringing them into a conference room and saying we need to address this issue regarding service line agreements. I believe Director Yazi, you've been a part of those dialogues and trying to hurdle over how do we streamline the service line agreement process. So finally, we had hopefully our final meeting to where we're gonna drop the legislation. I'm hoping that by the end of this week by Chair Danny Simpson to just amend the 20,000 or 2017 delegation that then I believe 23rd RDC has granted to Navajo Nation Land Department that will address a lot of these issues, and these are only for ARPA specific projects. There is going to be a sunset clause or a date in there. So just to let you know, so that legislation hopefully is brought by Honorable Chair Simpson by the end of this week. We gave that deadline to our legal counsel with Navajo Nation Department of Justice and OLC. We've already made amendments to the TAA, but there's going to be a more thorough amendment to the actual service line agreement. And hopefully that will be going forward and utilizing that document for any type of infrastructure isha going forward. But right now, we're just only making amendments to the 2017 RDC delegation that was granted. And that should hopefully be a document that both NTUA, DCD, and possibly even NECA can utilize with a collaboration effort. So if I can get the timeline on work order 5, and if you need the assistance of any of us policymakers, we're willing to assist. Whether if it's scheduling a meeting, trying to fast pace this work order or the re-obligation. Now, the second part is in terms of the bathroom renovation application, who within the Department of DCD is the lead on that? And if you can share with the committee here on the process of the bathroom renovation, do you have subcontractors out for that or general contractors? If we can have that information, and then also to provide that same information in writing so that we can share it with our colleagues of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. Thank you, Pro Temp Chair.
Thank you, Chair Seuss. At this time, I'd like to give it back to Director Yazi for response.
Thank you. As far as assisting with the de-obligation and obligation for work order number 5, I'm myself and Mr. Delguy have a meeting scheduled with OMB today to follow up. So if I can get that done today, that would be time well spent with my time and Mr. Delguy's time. So that's the goal, is to get it there, and as soon as it's moved, then I will then request the work order to be issued. I didn't want to issue it unless I knew the money was there. So that's been the process, or I need to see that it's there before I sign on the work order and it's all ready to go. So I believe it's work order number 5 is 142 to Homes Direct. That's the goal. So and it's critical because I need the production started. I need Homes Direct to open that factory. I think they have 3 or 4 going right now for us. So that's the goal. I don't need your assistance right now, but if I do, I will ask you directly via email. Now, who is the lead with the bathroom renovations? NECA is the only master contract we have for bathroom additions and renovations. So they're like Mr. Smith said, the tasks are issued via work order for bathroom additions and renovations. Who is the contact within DCD? Well, the contact was through the IDIQ LAN. So I need to get her paid, and the person is Shauna Belay. She had been receiving the applications from the DCD team, the BGAs, Ryan BGA. And that information was going to Shauna. Shauna was producing the work orders, and then I was signing them, getting them over to NECA. And I don't have my notes with me, but we did sign a few of them maybe a week or two ago. For 3 delegate regions, so the processes are still moving forward. Now, if once Shauna gets back on board, if I can get her paid this week, right, is the goal, then she'll continue. Thank you.
Jesus.
I'm good, thanks.
This time, before I go to, one more call, let the robot to, Honorable Simpson.
Okay, here, this is my chair, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, City Head, thank you, South Nick for your work. I'll just be straightforward. I know, controller has been giving information to, the full council. And gives kind of a deadline to mid, November to start looking into all the unexpended ARPA funds. And going off of that, you know, guess what route we're gonna be taking to, you know, with these unexpended funds, you know, we'll be able to expend them by the date that used to be, you know, we say December 31st, 2026, but we still have to give a report back to the federal government, and I believe, they're looking at September 2026 to get the information so they can start looking at the report and submit it back to the federal government. And going off of that, just straightforward, how much money has been expended out of 93 million? Are you able to, no, I know you're gonna have to provide the unexpended funds to the controller. Will that money be all expended by September 2026? For bathroom additions, for bathroom renovations, for beach lines, septic tank? So we're looking at these things right now, so going back off of that, you know, going back to what Nick just stated too, the challenges that, you know,
Yeah, go back.
going back to the subcontract you'll be utilizing, you'll be in the same situation again too. Not being paid. If you're not being paid by the nomination, still utilize as reimbursement. You know, the subcontract will be hurting. Are you able to pay your subcontractors utilizing own money, but are you still waiting for your money to be, to be paid from that mission government? So that's a challenge. And the second part is material. Your subcontractors will be in the same situation too. So again, going back to, it just seems like we need the answer. Are you really, is the money gonna be expended? Our funds that have been allocated for back addition, back renovation, beach line, septic insulation, all that. Because it goes back to, you know, that's what we've been asking from the council. Both council, and they kind of went back on REC. What's REC doing about this? So it goes back, we need to know. With all these, again, the money is ARPA going to be, all will be expended for the intended purpose, what we're talking about today. And is, with all the challenges that, NECA is facing, were you able to build all those bathroom additions? Renovate these bathrooms or use beach line and septic, we need to know that. And it goes back to one our delegate always states that on the council floor. The council is there to make laws, to amend laws and appropriate funds. Please do not go out there, especially I did heard them from NECA. The approval process comes from the recommendation, comes from the chapters. submit names. And DCEC working with IHS, who's gonna be getting back from this year. You put in a situation here, and how many people are listening, say is delegate will do the approval too. We don't need approvals for these bathroom additions, for renovations of this beach line. You put in the situation here, because I just got a text here now that NECA did tell that individual that it will be on, upon, say, based on approval from council delegate, give you back addition. I've been waiting 6 months. That information we disseminated to our community members throughout the nomination. NECA put us in a situation where now, are you gonna approve a back condition? We do not approve the back condition, we do not approve back, that's expenditure, that's the executive branch's job. Under the chapters are under executive branch. We need appropriate ARPA funds. And you just stated $93 million. So again, be very careful what you state out there. We appropriate now, it's up to executive branch to carry out what we appropriate to the executive branch for back musician and all that, so. Please be careful what you say out there in your staff, but the most important thing is. How much of that $93 million has been expended? And I know again, you can report back to control how many, the expended funds. And will you be able to expend all that unexpended funds, will you get to control by that certain date? And NECA, will you be able to construct all the back conditions that's been given from, as you say, your contract? With all the challenges that you put in, you just told us, will you be able to construct all the back conditions, because all this has to be completed. We're at the deadline date. So those bring my question, Mr. Vice Chair, members of RC.
Thank you, Honorable Simpson. At this time, we give the gavel back over to Chair Seuss.
Thank you for that question, Chair Simpson. So I'd like to yield time back over to NECA in regards to the questions that Chair had posed. And it's very important that we need to know, so ishi binatchet dinigi sa time nadita.
Okay, good afternoon, Nuna. So. Our subcontractors, yeah. We pay our subcontractors on a weekly basis. Because they're a small company. And they can't afford to carry a large amount of debt. Invoice. So we turn around and we invoice navigation. So that's how we're able to move forward with these small subcontractors. The bathroom addition and renovations, yes, we are able to build them in spite of the challenges. Dika, bathroom addition, as you guys are probably all aware, it's slowed down, yeah. Now we're going to bathroom renovations, article of lots of them. So I would probably say in the next maybe a month and a half, bathroom additions, I think it's sort of if none is issued again. Auto it will be strictly bathroom renovations. There are also challenges with bathroom renovations because we don't know what's in the basement of the home. Lead, asbestos, mold, mouse droppings, the lots of them. So sometimes if that happens, we tell our employees back off. I could all been. Again, yes, we are able to keep building and complete the bathroom additions and continue with the bathroom renovation going forward. With that, I want to apologize to Mr. Simpson if I misspoke. I just listened to people as you should pause. Or not money than little gas in there. I'll put that, I'll look at the I'll put the ocean pause. And I apologize for that, sir. So, again. We've worked closely with Shauna Ballet, so I see, she did, ayun, Luis Sada. Baru chicken diabetes, I yeah, no. Too big
Mhm.
So again, we work also closely with DCD. So we work hand in hand, we communicate through email, even in person. And I think we have a meeting scheduled this week sometime, so we can get back together. So,
Gushing, thank you for that. Uh, Mr. Smith, for your response. So going to, back to Chair Simpson, did that clarify your question and wanting dollar amounts, that you've asked for?
I think, Madam Chair, members of our city cabinet. Madam Chair, I think Candace, Shasi needs to answer my question in reference to. I know she does say she doesn't have all the information off the funds, but if she can get the information and email to us, that'd be great. But I think RC as the council needs to know that, how much was, how much of this 90 million will be unexpended. I mean, I guess that information, is not expended by mid-November. And if this information is given to control, I know control's been asked, will you expend all this unexpended fund by a certain deadline of next year? So I really need to know that if this item will be expended, RC needs to take action on it and how we're going to realize that unexpended fund that's not going to be expended. Madam Chair, thank you.
Question, thank you, Chair. So I'd like to go ahead and yield time over to Ms. Yazzie in regards to the expenditure for the $93 million. How much has been expended to this? If you have that information, since your last review of the financials for ARPA expenditure rates, and then also what do you foresee that possibly is not going to be expended, as Controller McCabe has been requesting that information?
Out of the 100 million that was given to CHID ARPA and 25 million to work order 4, as you know, their total contract was 50 million. They were paid up front 50%. So the contract holder via the IDIQ, IDSA was giving 24 million to provide, their total contract, remember, was 160 homes, and then I cut it to 80 based on schedule information.
Madam Chair, I'm talking about the bad condition, I'm not talking about cheap homes, I'm talking about bad conditions.
Thank you, Chair. So Ms. Yazzie, if we can just focus on just the bathroom addition side of it, Ashonda, as Honorable Chair Simpson had asked in regards to if the 93 million is a part of the homes, is that a part of the homes too? So you might want to break it down that way.
No.
Okay, so
You're-
just a 93 million left.
Okay, so for NECA's master contract at 93 million, I believe we are at, and NECA's gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong, but we are at 62 million encumbered. And I'm gonna look at, maybe Mr. Ray Smith, if you don't mind, Delegate Jesus can confirm that.
Bushy, Mr. Smith?
okay, the original contract that we have right now is at 72.7 million. And of that, there's a reduction in change orders, either deletions of renovations or additions. So that's 12.5 million. So the total that we have committed right now is 60.2 million. That's how much we have committed right now. Again, the original contract amount is 72.7 million. That's how much we should spend. But the amount reduced by change orders. 12.5 million is how much was deleted or put on hold. So the total committed by NECA right now is 60.2 million, which is about $32 million. short of 93, but we're not done yet, we're still building.
Hogoshi, thank you for that clarification. So Chair, Simsamiga, yeah, Hogoshi. I do have in queue Honorable Claw, and then we'll go ahead and yield time over to Honorable Chair Aruso.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did send out a directive request. I don't know if we have any of our legislative attorneys listening, but that was sent at 12:41. And so I'm still waiting for a response from our attorneys. But the directive will be so that we do receive these reports in writing from NECA as well as DCD. And then in addition to that, we are discussing both, seems like the section 11 as well as the CHID ARPA housing. I'm very interested in hearing the response as to why we gave money up front to Zenny Homes in the amount of 24 million. But yet we have our enterprise who is invoicing the Navajo Nation based on the work that was done. So there is discrepancy, and I don't know if anyone from the Department of Justice is also listening, but I would like for that to be clarified to this committee. So there are inconsistencies as to how these work orders are done. The other issue is depending on the court hearing and the judgment of the district court. We hope that Mr. Sean McCabe will remain as a controller, as he is familiar with the U.S. Department of Treasury guidelines. My chapter was recently audited, and this is in regards to ARPA funding. Within that audit, it states that if there is an SRA, which is a contract that was given for a specific purpose. So if we're talking about these CHID ARPA and it was only identified for housing and you use it for infrastructure, then you're in violation of that SRA. And so I hope that DCD is not circumventing the legislations and the contracts that were approved by the Navajo Nation Council. And before any work orders are amended or changeovers are included, that information does need to come before the oversight. Because I, for one, will vote against that. If these individuals did not meet the ARPA CHID eligibility, where they had to have infrastructure existing, then there should be no room given to try to offset that by allowing for additional dollars. I also want to go on record that the DCD, prior to the project management, did have a system in place where Mr. Begay from the FRF office was working directly with NECA. And I don't think that was a broken system. So to me, I don't know if we have been hiring friends and family just to give them a job, but a committed person, regardless if they're getting paid or not, should be providing services to the Navajo Nation. And it's understandable that if these project managers did not receive a payment, then there should be a backup system to where this falls back on our FRF office. Since that was their original intent, and the FRF was supposed to be monitoring these projects from the get-go. Where this changed, as far as the organization, I'm not aware of, as we have received little to no reports from the division. And so even that, Madam Chair, that would be my recommendation, is to have the FRF complete the follow-through, since we no longer have a project manager who is not committed to the projects. So I would make that recommendation, and I think I would make that recommendation to the controller as well, is that if this person is no longer interested in serving the Navajo Nation, then they can receive their last payment and we'll move forward with the FRF office. In addition to that, I do want to also make note that many communities, and I want a yes or no answer from our division director here. is that some chapters are still waiting to have their communities receive a home. It was my understanding that the funding was already allocated per delegate region. And now that these changes for infrastructure to be included with the housing, has that created an offset for delegates to receive their funding? And if so, I would like to hear that in a yes or no. If that is the case, then again, I will pursue defunding this particular project, as it is not abiding by the legislation that was set forth to create this program. For my community, we've been waiting for the CHID ARPA portal to be open. We had originally 17 applicants who were deemed ineligible, but yet we have not received word from the Department of Justice as well as DCD as to when they will be opening the CHID portal. The directive will include that DCD will open this portal for Chinle chapter. If not, provide me with a blank housing application so that I may disseminate that and get my CHID ARPA housing portal completed so that we can get houses as well for our community members. We've been waiting almost a year now and we have not received any response. So those are my concerns and my follow-up. In addition to that, I would like a response from NECA to assure the Navajo Nation people that the funds that you are receiving as well are not jeopardized. We've heard through circulation of social media posts that there was some impropriety based on the funds, whether that was given to OPVP, and that's been cause for concern for leadership. And so that is concerning. Because if we're gonna be advocating for you to get your payment, we wanna ensure that there are no political favors being done in return for these funds. Again, the Navajo Nation will be explicitly held liable for all of this funding. And I hope that each of you does have the reporting requirements that are mandated by the federal government. And based on that, once these are done, in addition to the financials that you set here before us, I hope that NECA understands you'll have to perform your single audit with all of the ARPA funding. That's a requirement as well. So if you could just provide a timeline of when you plan to perform your single audit for ARPA funds, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Claw, for those valid question. Next to Honorable Chair Otto.
I wanted to indicate that a written report or an update from yes, what NECA received in work orders and broken down in a delegate regional plan. Whether it's, X number of bathroom addition, this is how many bathroom additions that is in construction,
Sorry.
X number is completed, and that general breakdown, so that we have something to report there, that's our communities out there. I thought it was ahead of everything I do. At the site, say thank you to Jeff from NECA. I reach out to NECA to get that information, and you guys give it to us willingly, and we don't have to bring you guys in, but I think that when you get it out to the delegate region or to the just delegate, that should be helpful. And with DCD, I get the movement regarding the manager there, project manager, and then the two employees, Mr. Begay and is it Begay too, Donnell? Anyway,
I mentioned the audit. When we first started this ARPA, Mr. Begay told us that you better keep accurate records. Because at the end of this project in 2026, you're gonna be audited. Dije todo, the invoicing, the projects, time that's put into to build these additions and renovations. We track those carefully. We've never built anything for OPVP or any other entity using ARPA monies in Taga. I had a meeting with my department, my managers, and asked them that question. Do you guys know something that I don't know? And they said no. There's no monies from ARPA's that was spent, built, or political funds, or I don't know what it's called. What is it?
Fukushi, thank you. And then also to Honorable Chair So's in regards to the written report, just basically what was asked earlier, but a more in-depth report so that our colleagues would be able to see just how many requests have come in, the assessments, how many were deemed eligible and ineligible and stuff like that. Because you said that you received the work order from DCD, NTUA, or IHS, right? Goshi. So with that, the single audit, this audit here was for, I think, 2024, it says Honorable Claude, the end of 2024 or December 30th, 2024. So, but just know, Mr. Begay was right. These are federal dollars, and as we have stated on the council floor, should we demonstrate as Navajo Nation when US Treasury hires an auditing firm to audit all of the ARPA expenditures? And should we have not been in lines with any of the existing laws and policies, the Navajo Nation is bound to pay back. Now, the question is, where are we gonna get the money? So, Benago Bahas Tiakwagi Hajo, Lake Peso, Linigi, Benya, Peso appropriate Italia, I epic 100 the show ya I don't know the kid. So with that, colleagues, do we have any more questions on this topic for NECA and also DCD? So I just want to reiterate again. Colleagues, Dr. Nez, it's an I know that there's a lot of questions that surrounding this, and he wanted to ask some questions that was emailed out to us, but kodoya not anini klinigi akot anon nishain khas landlady kikait in that banekta. So with your consent, Ashiko, if he can answer his questions to NECA and also to Director Yazi. Abda little that the note that Ashpiga. Honorable Simpson.
Madam Chair, I mean, it's fine with me, but I was hoping we can take care of the directive. Then let's
Okay.
an offer. It's settled, so I have no problem, I think you go ask some questions, probably see.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
so with the directive, this is the approach that I wanted to take. I wanted to get a motion in a second because I see we haven't, and then vote on this report after all the questions are answered and Q&A happens. I will able to doing the directive. So I'll be like for Dr. Ness. How many are okay with it? Three. Okay, next to Honorable Chair Simpson. And ask away. Well, you know what, let's be better than them, yeah, it won't, so let's be. So Dr. Neves, when we go to your committee too, at least grant us that authority too, because I think this committee has been kind enough to allow other colleagues of this council to ask questions. Well, thanks. Go ahead.
Appreciate. To my understanding, each time we have a delegate that comes to the Health, Education and Human Services Committee, if they correspond with Chair James, then we've always heard, and that's why I took the courtesy to ask if it's allowable here. If it wasn't, then I was okay with that. I wouldn't have been offended by it. Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, my name is Andy. I currently sit on the 25th Navigation Council as well, but I'm also appointed to the Education and Human Services Committee. We meet on Mondays as well, and so sometimes we don't get to hear reports that are identified on the same day. But I think you colleagues, Shanado, Shadido, I do want to ask several questions here. The first one is to NECA. So it was reported that you have ongoing assessments. For our delegate region, I work with our communities of Fort Defiance, Sawmill, Crystal, and Red Lake, and we are at 100% completion on assessments. I do find it concerning that you are still talking about assessments, so I'm not sure what the correspondence has been between DCD and NECA, because to me, I feel like assessments at the date of today is kind of late in the game. And if there's been anything that you consulted with delegates for even DCD on what some of those next steps. I know you're just carrying out the work orders, but you are also the project leads and you're the project experts. I'm not out there kind of engineer by trade or anything, but I do my best to assist where needed. And then it's been also brought to my attention that NECA is rushing projects. One thing that I always tell our constituents and our chapters is that we are not here, we shouldn't make promises, we should try to fulfill the requests. And oftentimes when those are unsatisfactory, that only expands the distrust that a lot of our constituents have on us as delegates, but also on projects. So I don't know who at NECA is indicating a rush, because it gets reported back to me that this is because we are on a deadline, which I understand that, but I don't think projects, and I think DCD appointed division director would also agree, considering her background, that things should not be left unsatisfactory or incomplete, just based on the deadline. So if you can help clarify that. There's also concerns on sharing supplies. Each of our delegates here did receive regional funds, and I don't know who at NECA is making a decision to, if supplies are not needed or if there's a shared supplies that they go to other delegate regions. And if there are a surplus of supplies, I think that's where we can adopt an additional applicant if necessary. And then as the appointed director, Ms. Yazi, you are overseeing these projects, and I'm just kind of surprised at your minimal knowledge on where a lot of things are at. These are nearly $100 million, and it's a significant project. And you make some of those decisions. So when NECA reported moments ago that there was a reduction in change orders of a 12.5 million, who made that change? Is it only from the DCD appointed director, or who made that change? I ask that because there's minimal knowledge coming from the appointed division director, but then you have the capacity to make these large scale decisions. And then I did hear Chair Jesus ask about who is the liaison between DCD and NECA. And I asked this outside as well when the team was in executive session, but I still feel like it was not answered. Like, who is the actual individual? Yes, we had Ms. Belay. It's going on over a month now, and we shouldn't have to wait more for whatever funds needs to get to their desks for them to be able to commence. And I think there should be some liaison that is managing that. And then just two recommendations, colleagues, thank you again for obliging me here. But there are additional needs that we hear back from the field experts at NECA, whether that's leach lines, whether that's concerning other areas of the homes. And I think as NECA, maybe, and I've shared this with the field staff who reach out to me, is that there are other opportunities through DCFS, through housing improvement program, through chapter housing discretionary, that they can also apply for, that is separate from section 11. So I think that's something that maybe the staff can just be a little more familiar with, so that when they're interacting with the applicants, they're able to share that. And then the last thing that I'll share as far as recommendation, and I appreciate my colleagues for asking about the written reports. The Navikietiet and Alva Nation Council has given directives and has given that authority to the acting or the appointed division director to fulfill these in writing. Two examples, work order 4, we got a separate answer from summer session, and then we got a separate answer from a Navikietiet convening. And that has not been clarified, and it's been months. The second one is a joint letter, joint memo between DCU, FRF, and OOC, which has also not been fulfilled. And so that's something that is not just here to declare that we're going to get it in writing, but we need to actually see it. And I need to be able to readily see it and have it available, because we're, as delegates, go out into our communities. We are having to do our best to answer their questions, but if we have some of those unknowns that are coming from the DCD office and OOC and others, then that's doing anybody any good. Thank you, Chair, again, and colleagues.
Wishing to the Dr. Nez for asking some questions and also recommendations. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and yield time back over to NECA first, and then to Director Yazzie for a response to Honorable Dr. Nez's questions and recommendations.
Uyarlayık ilişkili. Aroni NECA assessment normal ilişkili. They're ongoing, critical. I'm just kind of like putting everything together, saying this is what we've done, and we're almost done with the assessments. The assessment again, somewhere late Adams. Again, these are the work orders that were given to us. Issue DCDs issue paid up a statement difference. Indicate that that's what we're working on. The second one is the rushing of projects. I've heard that, and like I've told my staff, is auto tsikel with us and so they're aware of that. And then the third was sharing supplies. We buy materials in bulk material. These work orders that we get, we don't buy individually. Each edition, it's cheaper to get it in a bulk. In the yard. So if they're building, let's say in your region, they're building 3, they'll take supplies for 3. You will only be billed to your region for the material that's taken and invoice for that. So acquired material, it will not. So there's no like, okay, we're gonna buy this for this region. These work orders are kind of like spread out through the Navajo Nation. But what we do is we try to put it into sections, like areas. Like I say, we have 15 homes and they're all in one area. So that's what we're gonna do first. The next one, of course, all the mobilization costs is kind of, it stays lower than having to travel 20, 30, 40, 50 miles to get to the next station. So we can have that maybe 10 miles, 15 miles. Of course, all the way the mobilization cost kind of stays down. So 80 now, 80 with that. I hope I answered your question.
Well, I'll go ahead and, I think you did, but let me go ahead and, go over to Director Yazzie first for responses to, Honorable Dr. Nez's questions. And if there was something that was missed, Dr. Nez, please, let us know. Thanks.
To answer Delegate Nez's question, that DCD has. Section 11 is definitely a big project, and that's why we have an enterprise working on it. And the IDIQ project management who's contracted to be the liaison, or I would use the term project manager. And that is Lam via his sub-consultant, Consensus Planning, Miss Belay. The joint memo, the directives that you're referring to, I do recall you mentioning it when we had, went before the committee a couple of weeks ago about a joint memo. Miss Jim and I need to get together and complete that, so my apologies on that. The other directive that I'm aware of is the one back in April for the ARPA TID. So if there's one that I missed, please let me know in person. Call me on my cell phone, 505-349. Let me see, actually, I'm sorry about that, I forgot that number. My work cell number is 505-422-3942. Feel free to text me on that work cell number and give me a reminder. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Yazzie. So going back to that question that was posed by Dr. Nez and even some colleagues here, we cannot wait on Lamb Corporation. I know that section 3 and section 11 were administered by several staff who are no longer under DCD, but now with FRF. Is there anyone in the interim right now within DCD that is employed as a full-time navigation employee that can take on this responsibility? Because next week, if this is not rectified in terms of the payment, next week you're going to be stating the same response, maybe even the week after that. It may not even get addressed, maybe because of certain discrepancies. So we don't know. So is there anyone from DCD internally that you can currently identify that would be the main point of contact?
Delegate Jesus, as you know, there are 5 project managers within DCD, and we are working on learning the best fit. So I would like to get Shauna paid as soon as possible. Like I said earlier, I need to chase it down with OOC for Lamb to pay their sub-consultant. So Shauna will be back on board as soon as she gets paid for $224,000 that she has owed since April. So we need to get her paid. So between Lisa, Jim, and I, we've been working on it. So that is my answer. Now, however, I think you're asking if there's anyone available specifically that we have that's a Navajo Nation employee within DCD that can handle, or that we can realign, move to handle section 11. No. I need to use Shauna to continue. Thank you.
Okay, so that's so if next week she doesn't get paid, then the projects are just idling. Is that accurate? Or in the interim, who is pushing these documents to get the next work order out?
Delegate Jesus, I'm doing my best to structure and help the team to get moving. So please give us some time to do that.
Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions? Follow up to Dr. Nez. I think we missed a question or a recommendation. Dr. Nez?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So earlier when you came here, you indicated, appointed division director that you didn't bring the team to help address the ARPA. Who is that team and what are their responsibilities if it's still unknown on who exactly is moving these projects? We have less than a year to build these, and the fact that DCD does not have a plan on who to allocate, because if we're spending at this point 6 months trying to locate information and payment, then what happens in the next 6 months? Then by then, we're short of just like 2 to 3 months on trying to fulfill these bathroom additions / renovations. And because there's still no answer, that's quite concerning. Because we have to be the ones to go back out to inform our constituents that because DCE failed to do X, Y, and Z, then we cannot fulfill your bathroom renovation and or bathroom addition. And so earlier I did ask who made the decision then to reduce the change order of 12.5 million. Who made that? Because NECA reported moments ago that they had that reduction. So who made that decision? And so that's my follow-up question. And if you don't, again, it still appears that there's still no point of contact. That's something that I think you should appoint somebody to actually oversee. And then colleagues, I do have a concern and appoint a division director, if you can also just state for the record, DCD, we all aware that FRF moved out of the DCD office. Now, some of those spaces at DCD, it was reported to me that are being used for sub-consultants such as Parsons. And if that's federal money that needs to go, then they should be paying rent rather than utilizing our facilities without payment. Thank you, Chair.
Question, yeah, thank you, Dr. Nez. So I'd like to go ahead and yield time back over to Ms. Yazzie for those responses to Dr. Nez's questions.
Those are good questions, Delegate Nez. Does DCD have a plan? The plan, I don't know if you're familiar with, when management changes and roles change and the structure of construction projects and the way the Section 11 was, organized. But, things have been moving, it's fluid. And last week, between the director of FRF, myself and the controller, we did meet on the FRF team. And, you know, now these are questions involving personnel and my role as the division director to administer and to manage. So we're doing that. We're managing it. And do I have a specific person? The specific person who had been managing the work orders, the meetings was Shauna Belay. And she needs to get paid her money in order to keep moving forward. And the flow is ongoing with NECA. NECA is moving forward. Who made the decision as far as 12.5 million being reduced from NECA's contract? That's a management question. And the reason why the entire ARPA team is not here, the ARPA Section 10 and Section 11, is because if you look at the agenda for today, it didn't indicate ARPA. The ARPA team, Section 10 and 11. Had I known that these were the questions, I would have had them here and they would be able to answer those questions specifically. In fact, I don't think Ms. Belay would deny or not come if I did ask her. So the issue with Lamb is getting her paid. So I think maybe a work session would be the next step. And to talk specifically about the change orders deducted from ANCA. That would be my suggestion, and I'd like to turn it to Mr. Smith if you'd like to add anything.
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
These change orders, those were bathroom additions, renovations that were taken off the schedule. Per the work order that was issued, that's where the change orders come from. Like, I'm just gonna kind of put it out there, 160, somewhere around there, were taken off. So that's not NECA's decision to remove them. Those were removed from the work orders, either DCD or whoever's in charge of that. They could remove it, yeah. So the way it hit, that's how I see it. So that's where that 12.5 is coming from. Thank you.
Bushy, so I guess the question back to Director Yazzie. If you know, the $12.5 million, why were these recipients taken off of the list? If you can just expound on that and explain it to the committee. And if the 12.5 is still sitting there where that opportunity, can be identifying new applicants or whatever the purpose is, and giving another work order so that NECA can get to that $12.5 million up to the 93 million that they currently were intended to get for bathroom and bathroom renovations. Ms. Yazzie?
That's a very specific question for 160 individuals. And I would like Ms. Belay to be here. And if the previous team is willing, they could be here to answer that question. I don't know specifically, as 160 names are very specific, and I don't have the information in front of me. So I would suggest a work session to go over these specific line items that constitute a deductive change of 12.5 million.
You're the special meeting.
Yeah.
Bushing, speaker, so to the topic, well, I think we're looking at a special RDC meeting.
Right.
Since this is very important, and hopes that you have your team readily available, and we can just have NECA on the call in case there's any questions, but I think right now we're trying to get answers from DCB for this. So, speaker, so.
Okay.
The other thing too is that, whether it's to CHID or here it's the bathroom addition, and this question will pose on to CHID housing. We're beginning to be the middle person. And when is this gonna happen? When is my bathroom addition gonna be built? And so forth. And these individuals, information are uploaded into the portal with DCD, and the paperwork that funnels through DCD on the bathroom addition. I think a indirect client discussion update needs to happen with the individual who's receiving the penalty. Because like I said, last week person told me, how come that does not hear to the city doing my bathroom addition? I submitted my name. And I did say, yes, I know that you have submitted information. That was a timeline that was given by DCD when the bathroom addition projects evolve. That by this time, the contract should be issued, that they should be full swing, and that was a statement from the nation. And but what I'm getting to is that collaboration to have that individual response directly to the homeowner is something that is needed, and that looks to what Chair Jesus stated earlier, who is the manager, and right now, who's in say land. Lamb is supposed to fulfill that duty and responsibility, but she's not here. Because she's not being paid, but you're saying she'll be here to answer some question. And but I think that with the communication I had with Mr. Begay,
Brian,
what's his name, Brian Begay and
Donnell.
Darnell McKay, they were doing the calling, updating things like that. And said, hey, yeah, we submitted his name, and things like that. We reached out to them, we did the site assessments and things that have deemed them, things were deemed that they were feasible and that we could proceed. And they were picking up that portion. And like I was saying earlier, is that, as delegates, we don't want to get into giving the individual green light to people, because already someone's gonna say, oh, you put them under because they're your relatives and things like that. That's why when it comes to name listing and things like that, I'd say submit it through this process. DCD is the entity to vet these names, not us. We're just there to help the program get these names there from A to B, and then that B, DCD will finish that up and get C involved. C is NECA. And C will work with A to get the bathroom addition completed. So that's all I ask, to have that individual collaboration with the homeowners. And I think that they give you guys their phone numbers and they give you guys their email, and I think someone's sending them an email address. Or if they will work. That way they're not constantly asking us, where's this at, where's that at, and I have one that's asking me about the CHID housing. And I said, I'm not too sure when CHID is supposed to be delivering the work order 1 homes, because at Tuba City, we were the first ones to get 13 homes assessed, 13 individuals assessed there, and we were told, oh, Tuba City, you're gonna have the first group of homes coming up from direct from the factory in Phoenix. That was just supposed to be the summer. It's not summer. Summer has ended, and so waiting for those 13 homes to be delivered. And I do ask for collaboration and communication on those deliveries, so that, I know when these homes are being brought in. I thank you for working with Sarah Slim on the mountain. And then Agent General Chief City J, they receive all the homes. And I just working directly with Sarah, and then things going smooth. I haven't had an issue with Sarah's office regarding the homes that we have allotted for to the city and the veterans also, even though we only got 4. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. So, Ms. Yazzie, going back to the work orders, all work orders coming out of DCD for ARPA funds is signed off by you as a director of DCD. Is that accurate?
If that's what the contract states, yes.
Who else also signs off on the work orders? Is it FRF office? President?
No, it should be me. For the
Okay,
most part.
okay. So work orders are signed off by division director if it's stated in the contract. Colleagues, Now, the next question that was not answered was Dr. Nez had asked that the sub-consultant Parsons is occupying space there within DCD. And since they're and their nomination property and they're using federal dollars, is the division charging for rent to Parsons on a monthly basis, or how is that contract agreed upon?
DCD or Navajo Nation is not charging rent to sub-consultants.
Bushing, thank you for that clarification. So colleagues, we are going to be proposing a special RDC meeting, and we would like Division of Community Development to come back before this committee with the ARPA team to clarify the $12.5 million, the 160 clients. And we're gonna ask Director Yazzie if a report can be generated for this coming Friday is what is agreed upon, right? Colleagues?
Yeah.
That initial this coming Friday to provide a written report by delegate region on all bathroom additions, renovations, also the CHID ARPA homes, and how many work orders have been issued since the inception of all the initiatives under the enabling ARPA legislation. If you can show information in regards to the point of contact employees for all sections of the ARPA monies to be expended. And then also, if you can just give us information then on the status of the work order number 5. So that's what I have outlined, and also request a written report from NECA as it was brought up earlier today. And I think Mr. Smith, you have a good understanding of what the context of that written report we would need, so that we can share this with the full leadership of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. So Friday at 9 a.m. Location here is going to be the special RDC meeting.
One last question, Madam Chair.
Okay, I do have follow up by Honorable Claw.
Okay, so this is to NECA. I just want to know if you are capable of using the entire 93 million if given the opportunity, because that would be part of our discussion at the work session. So are you able to use the entire 93 million if it was granted to you? That would be my follow up. Thank you.
Kabushi, thank you, Honorable Claw. To Mr. Smith.
Okay, as NECA, my staff and I, we met. And we do not think that we're gonna max out the 93 million. There are gonna be some funds left over. But we haven't met with DCD on how many more work orders we'll be able to receive up to September 2026. That's the deadline given us. So the current projects that we have right now, we're anticipating will be complete with that in February of 26. In addition to that, we may, depending on DCD work orders, pick up an additional 500 to take us to September 2026. But we're still talking about it. We haven't really confirmed. Maybe it's going to be less than 500 going from February to September. But we're still we kind of have a ballpark of how much we may return. But again, we're still working on those numbers. Thank you.
Kabushi, so again, we have to remember that these projects have to be completed by the end of December of 2026. So do you have a proposed date on a meeting between your entity and also DCD to really come up with the plan and maybe start committing that this is the amount of money we're not gonna spend, or what is the next plan after that, because as Speaker So said, those monies is stated in the enabling legislation that it's gonna go to hardship. Even a hardship has to be processed according to Controller McCabe, because not everyone is gonna be getting a hardship check. It's gonna be a criteria, how that's gonna look. We still have yet to find out as well. Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you. We are gonna meet after this committee is over, and we'll probably set a timeline. When we were supposed to meet tomorrow, but according to what the deadlines that Candace has given me, she's gonna be quite busy. So we will meet just for a brief time after this and come up with a timeline.
I wish you had. So to have a robust dialogue and go back and forth of how you're answering questions with colleagues here. I know, Ray, your schedule is busy, so is the board members. But we'd like to request you back on Friday as well, with DCD, provide, that report. I know that you provided way back, but we haven't gotten to anything recently. And I think that's one of the main concerns. So, and Miss Yazi, if you can get information, I believe, Honorable Chair Otto and I have went and transferred, I transferred $2 million, I don't know about Otto, into the Chid Homes, section. And I haven't heard anything. It looks like they're finally signing off as of last week. But I'd sure like to get more homes to my constituents in my region. So what is the next steps? I guess that's what we need. So I guess ninja cable.
Delegate Jesus, the CHID team is aware of it. The way it's routed is via Lisa Jim. And I ended up signing off on the expenditure plan form, and we're working it through the system. So we're creating workflows, we're creating who it needs to go to. And then we're in that process right now. So it's in the works.
Hawashi, thank you for that. So colleagues, since we're gonna continue this discussion this coming Friday, I'd like to go ahead and get a motion. A motion by Honorable Claus, second by Honorable Vice Chair Johnson to accept the report. So we pretty much have the next steps, and we'll continue this discussion this coming Friday morning at 9 a.m. I don't know. And it'll be here at 9 a.m. So if we can just be provided those important reports, even if you want to send it soft copy, that would be great as well, because it would be a tool for the delegates to follow. And not only that, it's a information purpose sharing, to other colleagues on the council as well, because I think we've all been asking. And see, the section 311 team is really a concern. Just know that Director Yazi, I know that we as policymakers just echo the concerns, not from colleagues, but also from our constituents across the Navajo Nation. So just please understand that we need to have this effort of continuously communicating and sharing these information, not until a point when something happens and we're finally trying to get that information conveyed. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and take this report to a roll call vote. Honorable Vice Chair Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair, case I'm up full screen.
Thank you. Honorable Claude, how do you vote?
Vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Chair Nez is excused. Honorable Chair Simpson is excused. Honorable Chair Alonso?
Great.
Gushing. So with that, colleagues, we have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting. So motion carries on the report, and we should be having an agenda posted Thursday for the special RDC meeting on Friday. Okay? I'll make sure that you dress in your costume. I don't want you dressing the way you are right now, just in your costume. I'm only kidding.
Thank you.
About that. Okay, going on to item letter C, update on the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. We do have Brian Gladden, who is a PE Deputy Construction Engineer at Four Corners Construction Office of the BOR. And in place of Jason, I believe we have Miss Robert Kirk with Department of Water Resources. So gentlemen, if you could please make your way up. And let's go ahead and, do you have a PowerPoint presentation? Okay. Do we have the remote, I guess? Okay. Of course, so Vice Chair, Charlie, had to move. Okay. I don't know if you have to adjust it. Yeah, it's on. But you need to hook up your.
Want me to do the motion for this then?
Okay. So while the gentleman was setting up, I did have a miss here. So right now, I'd like to go ahead and yield time over to Honorable Claw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to offer a directive regarding our report that we heard earlier for the Division of Community Development as well as NECA, and if I could ask Mr. Nakai to assist in reading in the directive to record. Thank you.
So Lori, whatever.
I can read it.
It'll be Ramona reading the directive into the record, Ramona.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It says the directive for the report that was just given is directive, the Resources and Development Committee directs the Division of Community Development, DCD Director Candace Yazzie and CHID / ARPA Department Manager Patrick Delguy to one, submit reports on CHID ARPA to the committee on all CHID ARPA funds and work order number 5. Number 2, submit section 11 reports to the committee from NECA and DCD. 3, direct DCD CHID ARPA to open the CHID ARPA housing portal for Chinle chapter by November 5th, 2025 to December 5th, 2025. 4, DCD director will provide project managers contracts to the Resources and Development Committee along with work orders for section 11 and ARPA projects. Here, that's the directive.
Hagoshi, so we do have that directive motion by Honorable Claw. May I get a second? Second by Honorable Chair Otto. So colleagues, do we have any directive? It's pretty much self-explanatory with what was shared here with us, with NECA and DCD. So I'd like to go ahead and yield time over to Honorable Chair Otto.
Yes, that's the
Motion party.
motion party to after on the directive. Number 3, after two chapter. You add in option for it and when this is a chapter. You have out of the CHID funding regarding the bathroom addition transfer and move to open up the portal for that purpose. Thank you.
Hagoshi, thank you, Chair. So with that motioning party, Honorable Claw. Honorable Otto is requesting under item number 3 of the directive to also add Twinanistas chapter. Do you concur?
I concur, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Hagoshi, seconding party, you requested, so you're okay. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and add Twinanistas Tuba City.
Okay.
Yeah. Chapter. So with that, we have a motion and a second, colleagues. Any other questions at this time? Going once, going twice. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and take this directive to a roll call vote. Honorable Vice Chair Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair, this is Johnson was here.
Thank you. Honorable Claw, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Chair Nez is excused. Honorable Chair Simpson is excused and Honorable Chair Otto.
Wait.
Okay, thank you. So with that, colleagues, we have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Chair not voting. So, Honorable Claude, just for your information, we will be addressing a letter to both Ms. Yazzie and Mr. Delgay, and putting these directives in there, signed by myself as chair, and then we'll go ahead and send it out to the division. Hello, Nat. Thank you. So going back to our agenda item letter C report. So I'd like to go ahead and yield time over to our presenters, Ryan and also Robert, to go ahead and start their presentation. Did you send your PowerPoint to our team here, or
It's a
do you have
green
hard
folder.
copies?
It's
Oh, it's a green folder. Okay, I apologize. We got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can proceed, and you do have 20 minutes for your report, starting at 2:24 PM.
Yeah, and Robert Curtage, I'm a principal hydrologist, water resources, for the fine state of the national, Mr. John, Yande, it's has so bad point me go, yeah, I was kids of, Hadid such a Twitch age, I don't know, could nay, but she might be ski, but she do, but no, I do it fine, so, originally from Kitlichi. Ultimately, inside is rock point a key hashtag. So, been working for the department and the tribe for over 34 years now. So, you mentioned DA about the Natal Gal Water Supply Project. Periodically, Panahandikia, Hansa Irish, so innovation has to late Ian Dasmishla, the way about Bana Panda witness. So, hey, Yabana or chief additional your reclamation then he could about the shot of the end of the day and hundreds of them in Hartley. Oh, the Queen of High, with the Asians, so Hutchins or every time she is cheat to us. Their reclamation though, having introduced himself and we go into the presentation ahead.
Thank you, Robert. G'day, Ryan Gladden. Good afternoon. I'm again Ryan Gladden, Nishe. English, Nishe. Irish, Bashishin. Irish, Dashiche. English, Nishe. Sorry, no. Still messed up. English, Dashinali. Deputy Construction Engineer, Nishe. Bureau of Reclamation, Banash. Banash.
Nice.
Thank you.
Good job.
I tried. I try not to do too bad in it. Thank you for having us here, Honorable Committee. We appreciate the chance to be able to present some updates on Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. I may go through some of these a little quickly. Just trying to stay within that time limit. I do want to start out just by saying it is an honor to work on this project. I grew up in New Mexico. And I know I can speak for all my colleagues too, of how meaningful this project is, and it very much is an honor. I'm very grateful to be able to do so. Today, I'll go through a brief project background. I'll try to keep that short, get into construction updates, schedule of our remaining projects, as well as just to cover a few challenges or complexities on the project. Talk a little bit about right of ways, our own BOR staffing shortages, although just to touch on that, we are short on staff, beginning around the beginning of this year. But we are fully committed, to finishing this project on time and have the fullest support from our leadership, which we are very grateful for, from our regional leadership up to our commissioner and, Assistant Secretary of Water and Science. We have seen full support, and we're very grateful for that, and have been given adequate resources. We'll touch a little bit on, we still need to develop an operations agreement on the project. I'll go a little bit over community connections, additional funding required, and some difficulties we've had with power supply on the project. But I'll get into each of these a little more in detail. Just a quick background, on So in 2009, this project was authorized for construction under Public Law 11111, which adjudicated the water rights on the San Juan River in New Mexico. It's the largest project-based settlement in US history and the largest dollar project reclamation's ever funded and built. Consists of two main laterals. I'll have a map up in a moment showing our construction status, but over 300 miles of pipeline, two conventional water treatment plants, 19 pumping plants, many storage tanks, and construction began back in 2012. Some of the complexities, just to go in a little more detail, we value at the highest degree the cultural resources environment, and the environment in which we're working. Of course, that does present engineering challenges, but we have been very grateful to the Navajo Nation with working with you on being able to protect those cultural resources as needed and the environment. Land acquisitions, we have faced some challenges, some staffing shortages as well that you are facing as well with the general land development department, but we have found a lot of support from working with Patina and Byron in that department and how hard they've worked with us recently to help us get right away. So we've been very grateful for that. Bringing low cost CRSP power to the project, I'm going to touch on at the very end. And I will go a little bit over proactive planning for the Northeastern Arizona water rights settlement, what we've been doing there on Navajo Gallup. The project as of today is estimated at $2.2 billion. That's of our October 2023 price level. Of course, it's being constructed by Reclamation in conjunction with the nation and the city of Gallup and IHS using reclamation funds. Some of the project was funded with non-federal funds, Eastern Navajo Water Pipeline on the Cutter Lateral and the Gallup Regional System where they have their cost share. Right, so let's dig into the construction updates. So a color-coded map here. Green is what is operational. Blue is what's been completed. Red is what's under construction and yellow is still in design. So as you can see over on the Cutter Lateral, that has been complete and operational since October 2020, with the exception of the Lydra connection, which is expected to be completed in 2027. I'll bunch some of these up here. So what's in blue is completed, like I said, that includes 4 pumping plants. Two pumping plants completed. We have 2 more pumping plants up above, pumping plants 2 and 3, which will be complete in the beginning of 2026. The majority of the pipeline is complete, all the way up to N36 actually. What's red there at the top called 4A, 4B will be complete by the end of the year. That pipeline is already in the ground. We're just finishing up some vault installation and some smaller stuff. So we expect that to be done here very soon. Which would be, as far as pipeline goes, as you can tell, the far majority of pipeline. If we were talking just pipeline, that'd probably be well over 90% of pipeline. In terms of dollars and project, we're about 70%, a little over 70% complete. For those of you, especially those of you nearby, Navajo Code Talkers is complete, so that's the reach that is running along Highway 264. When I say complete, in terms of what Reclamation constructed, reached 12.1 and 12.2 up to the Arizona state line. And I'll talk a little more about that in the nation, extending that line from 12.3 into Arizona. Water treatment plant is under construction. That is a design build contract and design is nearly complete and ground has been broke. We'll go into that a little bit more as well. 14.1 and 14.2 is being constructed by HS and has begun construction, expected to be completed by the end of 2026 or early 2027. And then reaches 14.6A, 7A, and 8A, which extends south with Gallup. Are working with the nation right now actually to determine if the nation can construct that with Sutter Associates. So we're still in talks on that work right there. And I forgot something else. All right. So moving on to the northeastern Arizona water rights settlement, Reclamation was approached last year to discuss how we might be able to use the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project line to send water through for parts of Arizona that may in the future fall under the northeastern Arizona water rights settlement. I'm looking at that value planning study and in doing analysis. The majority of the line pipe, as I showed, was already under construction or complete, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to upsize anything at this time. And it was designed quite efficiently to meet the full flow demands for Navajo Gallup, since that's all we were authorized to move water for. We did find opportunity though, in the most northern section on Reach 2 and Reach 3, to be able to upsize that pipeline, which is the water that is being taken from the river up to Frenchie Willetto Reservoir and down to the treatment plant. So in being able to upsize that pipeline, we'd be able to get water, additional water over to Shiprock. That would be flows beyond what Navajo Gallup water supply project needs. That water would be sent through what is going to be the Shiprock connection system, which is a connection as part of Navajo Gallup, but would be upsized along with the treatment plants and the Reach 2 and 3 line and Public Plant 1 to be able to move that additional water for those future flows that northeastern Arizona may need. Under our authorization, we cannot spend the settlement money from Navajo Gallup on another settlement such as northeastern Arizona, so that we worked with the Navajo Nation, who is working with us on a contributed funds act agreement. And so the nation would be able to provide additional funds right now to the project. We'd be able to upsize these facilities. And that would allow in the future, when this northeastern Arizona water rights settlement is passed, to be able to move that water through the system. Otherwise, we'd be limited to whatever, to the designs we had before, and it would not be an opportunity. So before that door closed, we're happy to say that we'll be able to upsize those facilities. Anything else you want to add, Robert? So just to go over some of the construction, Cutter Ladder Water Treatment Plant, that is an aerial photo there. It is serving over 1,550 homes, 6,000 people, and 8 chapters. It's been operational since 2020. It is also serving the Hickory Apache Nation. Go through a couple of photos for you real fast. This is an aerial of Pumping Plant 4, and each of these plants is pretty identical now at this point. We wanted to keep O&M standardized for NTUAs, so as I go through these, you'll see they all look about the same. Water comes into that storage tank, flows through the larger building, which has pumps and air chambers for moving that water down the stream or downstream and being protected, and a turnout building on the side there to send water to the local community. It's Pumping Plant 7 again, very much basically identical. That's the interior of Pumping Plants 4 and 7. There on the left being the pumps, those are vertical treatment pumps. They move water through the manifold into the discharge. Each of these pumping plants being, again, identical in the way they're set up. So Navajo Code Talkers, as I mentioned, is complete up to the Arizona border. But the nation is working currently right now on designs for the 12-3 pipeline and connections to Window Rock, Fort Defiance, and St. Michael's. There's a few photos I'm sure we've all seen driving on Highway 264. That's a surge tank on McKinley Hill for protection of the system. A storage tank there on the right is Black Cat, which is going to still be colored too, for those of you wondering. It's kind of a very large gray mass, I know, up on the hill right now, but it will be covered here soon. And if you want an idea what color we probably will have, actually, I think we're still working on that. Never mind, Robert. I don't know if we've come to that determination. Pumping plants 2 and 3, again, very identical to pumping plants 4 and 7. This is the current status. They're undergoing final commissioning, should be done by the beginning of next year. This is 4A, 4B welding of the pipe, just some typical pipe installation of what it looks like on Navajo Gallup along the whole Savon lateral. So back in April, we did have a groundbreaking ceremony, and a blessing ceremony. And, I have to say, I was very honored to be part of it. It was very special. Felt very, very meaningful and blessed to be there. And since that time, we have broken ground, and I'll show you a few photos. Let me see if I can get this video to play. Oh, there we go. So just a quick little aerial video of the treatment plant, where it's at right now with excavations. So these are the facilities for the treatment plant. We're flying up towards what would be the administrative building, process building where the water would be treated. Chemical building where the chemicals will come in to be into the pipe, and drying beds out in the distance. So they're making headway very quickly. And here is a photo, kind of a close-up of those excavations. So they've been putting in rebar, forming up concrete. And they're a little further than this now, even with a few of those foundations placed here this last week. That's a final rendering of what the treatment plant will look like. Here's an interior model of what the filtration system will look like when it is done. So those are these sand filtration systems. They retrieve that water, and there would be a secondary treatment process as well. Using a different material, media filter. So just to touch on what work we have upcoming. I have 7 contracts here. We actually have 1 contract that's not on here, which will be awarded in November. That'd be pumping plant 1 down by the San Juan River. And the intake from the river, which is out for solicitation and will be awarded in the spring of next year. But these, after those 2, these will be the following contracts to be awarded. So spanning over the next few years. Those are some of the what's raw water and what's treated water contracts. I'll give you a quick overview, but I'll make this fast. That's just a representation of the river intake is over on the right, takes water through a line that we purchased from P&M up to Frank Sheila Reservoir. And that water is fed down through that blue line, reach 2, to pumping plant 1 at the river, and then down through that red line, reach 3 over to the treatment plant. All of these contracts, except for the Frank Sheila Reservoir, we're doing a few improvements there in 2027. The rest of these will all be out to contract in 2026. Just a quick model of what the river intake will look like. Water would feed into that facility or into that channel over on the right side, feeds over to the pumping plant, and then is pumped up to Frank Sheila Reservoir. Representation of what the pumping plant will actually look like. There's a wet well down below, big basement of water that'll the pumps will pull from to be able to pump up to that reservoir. And that should be completed in October 2028, just ahead of commissioning for the treatment plant. Pumping plant 1 to be awarded here beginning November. Again, down by the river. Oops. And that'll be completed in May of 2028. So just to talk really fast, and I don't know if I need to request a little more time. Would I be able?
You do have 3 minutes left. How much additional time are you looking?
10 minutes would be great, if that's possible.
Colleagues, additional 10 minutes, Shabiga. Okay.
Thank you so much. So these would be the list of turnouts along the San Juan lateral. So we don't have the bridge to nowhere, as they say. This would be actually be how the heart is feeding that system. And so each of these turnout locations connect to one of those distribution systems and get water to actual homes. We are working with the Navajo Nation right now. They're working hard to get each of these distribution plans designed and ready for when the system goes online. And then at each of these locations, it's our responsibility as reclamation to build a small building, which will have flow meters, appropriate valving for that connection to be made. So we'll go into funding status. Just want to touch on a few things. The main takeaway from this slide is that we are at $1.64 billion on this project. That is what has been appropriated to date. And we have estimated at this time that the project will cost $2.2 billion. So that is a $600 million shortfall overall. So I'll get into some of the plan there, but we did, going back to that time frame in 2009 when the project was authorized. It was authorized under a very preliminary estimate. And Reclamation actually testified against that going forward at that time because of that estimate. Did not feel that it was covering all the scope of work that was required. That is not the only problem, though. That is part of the problem, but another large piece of this problem is unprecedented inflation that we've seen since COVID. So I definitely don't wanna, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus by any means. That's a hard thing to estimate. Congress wanted to be able to pass something. But we were short a bit, and that escalated quite quickly after the COVID years. Some of the good news, everything that we have awarded for construction, we have fully obligated, so it is fully funded. So the treatment plants, the pumping plant we're about to award, future pumping plant, those things being constructed right now have full funds obligated to them, so those will continue. Congress raised our ceiling by 145 million in FY 25, which allowed us to take money out of the reclamation water settlement funds, which helped very much, allowed us to fully fund the water treatment plant. And we have the ability to fund these upcoming contracts up through spring of 2026. So we are pumping plant and the river intake in that pumping plant. We do need additional funding past 2026. So we continue to work on providing estimates, what is requested of us. But it is up to Congress to provide that future funding. And we are fully dependent on that, being able to access additional funds from the reclamation water settlement funds. Part of that would be the amendments to the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. So these amendments, there are many good and important parts of the amendments, but the two main takeaways are to raise the ceiling to what we need, that $2.2 billion number, basically allow for us to inflate still using indexing, accounting for inflation for the remainder of the project. And now that we have full funding and the full ceiling there for the remainder of the project. And the nation has introduced those amendments, but we do rely on Congress to fully pass the amendments. So in addition to those points, I'm gonna provide $30 million for the community connections, money for renewable energy, and a big one, $250 million for trust fund for OMR for the nation, and $10 million for the Hickory Apache Nation. It would also allow for water to be conveyed to the Navajo Utah settlement water, and as well as Rio San Jose Basin and Lupton. And there's some other provisions in there, which again are important, but those are probably the biggest of those. So kind of finish up here, you won't be able to read this schedule, but I'd more put it up just to give some talking points. As part of this project, under Public Law 11111, it authorized the construction of power to each of these facilities using Colorado River Storage Project water, so low cost power from hydropower generation. And NTUA has been working on that. We have a very good relationship with NTUA. We work closely with them. We have monthly management calls with them. We do want to just raise the risk of overall, even if we have all the facilities built, if this power is not extended to each of these facilities, they will not operate. And we have so far to this day had some issues with that. We had issues with our pumping plants 4 and 7. with getting power to those sites in a timely manner. And then currently with public plans 2 and 3, we've had to bring in temporary generated power. Because we've not been able to meet the dates, or NTA has not met the dates with getting power to those sites on time. And so while they are working hard and they're working with us, we have some concern about getting power to each of these sites. And of course, when that is delayed, it does cost the project additional funding and additional time for those contractors to either be able to get generators or delay contract requirements, which is always money, extra money. And with that, just more of the schedule. That's our presentation. I will turn it back to you for questions.
Thank you for that, gentlemen, for the presentation. Colleagues, may I get a motion to accept the report?
Motion.
Honorable Vice Chair Johnson, and may I get a second?
Second.
Honorable Chair Otto. So with that, colleagues, do we have any questions for the update that was provided to us from Bureau of Reclamation and also Department of Water Resources on the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project? Honorable Claw?
Thank you for the presentation. And then also thank you for learning and speaking Navajo. I do have a question. So you did mention there's a $600 million shortfall for this project. And I want to get an update as to how you're working with New Mexico legislators in possibly securing additional congressional funds. And then also, I don't know if Department of Justice is on the line, but that would be another question for them as to how we would address this, since it was a settlement. If there was any legal language that pertained to the costs, or if there was availability to amend that settlement. So that would be another question for the Department of Justice, as we have not seen any of the settlement documentation, so it's hard for me to look at, review, and possibly see some opportunities to create those amendments. The other portion is that with the governor, I know they do have New Mexico capital outlay funds. Would this even be a capital outlay project that the governor would consider? And I know that would require discussion at the New Mexico caucus level. And I'm not sure who the New Mexico caucus chair is. And I don't know if they have received this update from the New Mexico water settlement and then the Gallup project. But I think that those discussions also need to occur. So those are my questions as to how far you're meeting with these legislators and to see if there are additional funding. And then I think one of the other questions would be regarding the investment committee. I know that they may be able to take a look at some of the funding available for investment, particularly for infrastructure projects. And I think now would be a good time to propose that, but I don't know if you even have put together a budget of the shortfall and what that would entail. And then also which of those that are affected. I know you showed the map here with those that are proposed as well as those have been completed. So I think those are some of the questions that we have. And then have we looked at matching funds? I know these chapters are looking at more economic development, but it relies on our water supply. So those are just my questions, Madam Chair, and I'll turn the floor back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Honorable Claw. Any other colleagues with questions? I'd like to go ahead and yield time over to the presenters for responses to Honorable Claw's questions.
Yeah, no, that's the other one I can agree with all the $600 million shortfall, there's a current legislation, Ryan, Navajo Gallup Amendments Act, it's Senate Bill 637, HR Bill 1482, that's currently in it was introduced in the last Congress and they so it went into the current Congress. So right now, with any new legislation, it has to go through all of these hearings. But what they've done is they kind of forwent all of that because of its priority. The New Mexico delegation, no, the Navajo Nation lobbies on the AIC priority down no. So what is happening is that it's kind of foregoing a lot of these the process that's really required for these new legislation. So right now, it's gonna go straight to hearing.
Yeah.
It's gonna go straight to a hearing and it's gonna be reintroduced, well, it's already been reintroduced, so it's right now, it's got a head start. So that's one of the things that the Navajo Nation Department of Justice is working on diligently, as well as the New Mexico delegation. So that has a really great chance of, it is gonna be passed, introduced and passed. So all of these, Ryan, this includes a $600 million shortfall. That is included within that, the ceiling cost, and you raise it now, So once they raise that ceiling cost to 1.75 billion dollars, that's gonna address the shortfall. But some of the things that's added on that's not in there is also like the renewable energy. There's gonna be a lot of power that's gonna be needed to operate a lot of these facilities, And one of the ways that we're looking at to offset some of these costs is renewable energy. So that's in there as well. And one of the most important thing in here in this Navajo Amendments Act is the $30 million connection plan. That actually goes into the community here. Because the settlement, so how are we gonna implement into the local, the chapters that are along the, these laterals? That's what's gonna be addressing. So, but obviously, we are working diligently on using other funding to get conjunctive groundwater plants. We're using some of those to do a lot of the work that's gonna be needed to do these connection plans. So 30 million and so those are just some of the things that I wanted to just kind of bring out, but that's another important one that I keep forgetting is that when we have all these projects, but one of the things we always neglect is the O&M&R, operation, maintenance, and replacement. And if NTA is going to be taking over all of these facilities, they need that. They need that. And then all of those things, the upgrade to the upper reaches, that's going to make it possible to bring in water into Utah as well as Arizona if there is Arizona settlements. So about this and so, but I might want to turn this back over to Ryan, see if he could add anything to that.
Thanks, Robert. And thanks for your comment on the Navajo. I worked really hard. I tried, and then I got nervous, and that's how it is. Becky can testify for me. I tried to learn now. But so I do have a few things. So Senator Lujan did sponsor those amendments, and he's been pushing for them very hard. And I don't know if you've seen any of the news reports or anything from Senator Lujan. He came out through the project with me and Bart Deming. We were able to tour him around. He is very, very supportive of this and pushing very hard for it. So we're very grateful for that. We have seen some movement on the back end. We've been working with DC, and we occasionally have gotten questions from the congressional budget office. So we do know things move here and there, but then here as of late, of course, nothing is moving. So nothing here for the past little bit, but we are hopeful. We do see a lot of support on both sides of the aisle. We've been asked many questions many times from different representatives there in DC, and we, after explaining what it is, explaining how much this construction costs and some of what we're up against, we have seen support. So we are hopeful that these amendments will be passed. We do see that as our best way forward. for sure, but in the meantime. Congress has so far been supportive in giving us yearly appropriations. If they're able to appropriate money to us, that appropriation will actually automatically raise the ceiling as well. And so that has been big for us. So that 145 million, we were already at our ceiling back last year. And that appropriation of 145 million actually raised our ceiling by 145 million. This year, we have requested more money, and what we will actually get approved, we requested up around 175 million. We have some support from that on the Senate side, on the House side, and we're just waiting to see what comes of that still. So hopefully once things are able to move forward, we'll see that as well go forward, which would be another 175 million on top, and would be, until those amendments are passed, that would be our process going forward, is to continue to push to get those yearly appropriations.
Under the 19, New Mexico capital outlay. One of the things from the Navigation Department of Water Resources, these chapters, these 43 chapters, I believe majority of them are New Mexico. Yeah, we have been using capital outlay and TIF funding to kind of get a lot of these systems ready for this water. It involves a lot, bigger tanks, bigger distribution systems, energy pumping stations, energy all of these things all need capital. So a lot of these things at the community level, we've been using a lot of the capital outlay and the TIP funding. So and a lot of the cutter lateral, the one that's in green, the one that's in operation. Capital outlay and USDA funding, and also monies from the chapter and the nation. That's why it's been operational already since 2020. So we've been already fully invested in monies from the state of New Mexico. So it is so one of the things proposing is we do a lot of outreach and so the admonition, they usually require especially the oversight committee. So that's why you're here. They also do a lot of community outreach. A lot of chapters, Becky McGay, Bureau Commission, she's the Navajo liaison that works a lot with the chapters. All these chapters, so there's a lot of outreach to the 43 chapters that we're talking about. The project, the Bureau Commission also sends out a newsletter. It's several pages, and I usually get it and then I forward it to all of the Navajo Nation Council and the president. So and then one more last thing. We do a lot of informational meeting to the local chapters, maybe once a quarter, depending on where we're working a lot. And one of the upcoming one is on November 12th, 2025. And it's going to be a couple hours, 10 o'clock a.m. to 1 p.m. at the San Juan chapter. Invite them to especially all the work that's going on with the water treatment plant. That's a big water treatment plant. It's going to be one of the largest water treatment plants in the state of New Mexico. So we are doing a lot. These guys, I see, so that's the reason why they're here at the education.
So what time did you say on November 12th?
10 to 1.
10 to. Hiroshi, thank you for your response. So if the 600 million with the amount that's being requested doesn't fall through, then what is plan B for BOR with the shortfall that Honorable Claw had asked about?
So the construction that's funded, we would continue to construct. I believe this is probably a little outdated, we should be less than $600 million now after our final appropriation, but we would still be short. The point being, some of that 600 million is for that 250 million O&R. And some of those other monies, that's not just construction. So the majority of construction would be complete. We'd really be looking at, reclamation cannot of ourselves go and push for more money. Sorry, this is not getting cut out here. But we'd be looking to the nation, we'd be working with the nation to see what we could do. After putting that much money in the ground, and constructing this much in Navajo Gallup, I would feel confident that working with you all, we could help Congress to push that forward, because so far they've been very supportive. They have given us money every year, so I don't have a good answer for you. To be honest, if they just said, nope, we're not gonna fund anymore, reclamation in itself wouldn't have any authority to do anything to help that. But we would work with you all on what was needed to keep, whether it's reintroducing another amendment. Or look at what else we could do there with Congress to get something passed to complete the project. But again, we are very hopeful with the support we're seeing that these will be passed.
We do appreciate the report, and as a Resources and Development Committee, we can assist with advocacy, at the national level as well. But we would rather that we would have whether if it's a BOR to be alongside us, that would be at your discretion, and most likely Department of Water Resources with the Navajo Nation. So we could try to hopefully get that across the finish line, but we would just need that collaboration and communication from Department of Water Resources. I'm gonna go ahead and yield time over to Chair Aroso.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm glad you guys brought up the O&M. That funding is not included inside the appropriation. And it's always been on the Navajo Nation's watch, since we were told. We know that normally NGOA takes over a lot of the water system on Navajo. But, did you have concrete to say that NGOA is only taking over? Cause this is gonna take over a beast. And if they're gonna take over a pipeline that is just funding the backbone, get the water supply out with no connection, especially to the communities. The lateral to Four Corners, that where you go down one on the project, and you have communities off, and if these community laterals are connected for potable water, how is O&M, as BOR or constructing the line, that transfer that has to happen. If shouldn't you said no, you guys, who is plan B? Who is plan C? Because you have to have a lot of from the beginning the O&M money. You have that size of a pipeline breaking middle of the night with a water drain and these storage tanks, these pumping stations, massive pumping stations built out in eastern Navajo, around 491, and who's gonna fix it? And O&M is something that we really need to start looking at. Because I'm gonna tell you, the nation doesn't have the resource right now. And I'm worried that NGOA may start to pick what they wanna take, because of course, if that lateral that's going to Shiprock, and if Shiprock lateral is connected to the community, it's well worth it, because we have they can get the resources based off of the meters that they have, are currently metering at the, for domestic purposes. But their main resource of how they make their, to make O&M money is off of business. If there's no business plan along the 491, you know. We're gonna have no O&M. The only reason why it came down this far is Gallup. Because Gallup is allowing this basically, we're talking Apache, the Apaches, what's that tribe called? Hickory is selling their water to the city of Gallup. That's the reason why you have 3 million gallon tank there. Smart. Very, very smart what Hickory Apache did. And that was stopped. Why did Navajo didn't even think about those things at that time? Yes, don't sell our water, don't give, but if you get that amount of water piped through a massive piping system, you're gonna have to have O&M money to back up, the operation. And is it even gonna really be financially beneficial? Because if you get all that water full with, or the pipe full with water on day one, or the first year, or the first month, when that pipe is full of water, potable water, whether it's treated, how much are we gonna be utilizing for domestic purposes? I don't think the numbers will be high, it's gonna be low, because to get the waters out for domestic purpose or economic development purposes, we're gonna have to charge for it. Then someone is gonna say, how come you're charging us for our water? We have to find a way to pay for the O&M so that the water system continues to pay for itself. This is my thought. I think that the Bureau reclamation, or reclamation.
I wish it was recreation.
Need to start having that dialogue. You're building a system. At some point, we're gonna have to have this dialogue, and we're coming to a point where next year, when the COVID dollars are expired, the nation is gonna be subjected to what was supposed to happen in FY 2022. No money. A lot of our lease payments that were coming off of off of our resources, it was supposed to happen then. COVID hit us. Title V money saved us. And then the second appropriation for COVID came through, that saved us to this point. And once when December 2026 hit, and whatever's returned back, or whatever's turned back into ARPA or hardship, the reality is gonna hit the nation on what is really our funding. And I think the projection at that time in 2021 was that we were gonna see a budget projection of about $136 million. That's the Navajo Nation budget allocation. That was one of the projections. We're gonna see that reality, because that $36 million offset has not been done yet. And that $36 million is alluded to the Peabody Coal royalty payment and off of NGS. 2031 is coming. The nation, if we don't do anything pertaining to APS, we're gonna be hit with another reality, another hit of $24 million. And we're not gonna have the resources to pay for those things. And then that's what I'm getting to, is at some point. I think from the, you know, you build the water system, we may have to have new talks pertaining to maybe. Ending it at this point without expanding it more, because once you expand it more. More O&M money that needs to be pumped into this pipeline to pay for overhead services. I'm not an engineer or anything, it's just what I think, at the end of the day. Who's gonna pay for what? And in this case, you know, HUA, the travel enterprise. They can allude to accept it. Say, okay, we're gonna take care of it. I think they're gonna pick and choose at some point, say, no, I think this lateral over here is beneficial to us, we can handle this one. This one we can handle. Some other portion may not. You know, the navigable top lateral that runs through here in front of the inductor. That's gonna be feasible if, until we get the northeastern waterline settlement, so that we can move it forward. To go into communities of Granada and to Lupton, so that, you know. That's the thought to meter the water and to pay for them. But if we just leave it right now here. Oh, there's no O&M. Everything is going through checkerboard land as he hits, travel trust land is very minimal. And those are just some of my thoughts of this, not only of this, but that's just things that I think about. It's just like a home. How do you use it? I like, moments ago, my wife was texting me my HCA bill. $76, and I said, right, it's low, this month, I've been paying a little bit extra, $20 extra. For some time. And I've been doing, and I finally see it now. And it's coming down. And then I have to decide, so I have to stay on this and then pay what the bill is and pay the extra $20. And you know, and just to keep up with the bills. And that the nation, we have to think about that, because at some point. We have to have that dialogue on how are we gonna pay for this old man. And I think that's very under your reclamation, you know, I think you really have to bring that question to the nation. Don't wait till last minute, bring it to us so that we can find a solution. Because, you know, we'll give it to NTA, they're gonna turn around and get it from the customers. There's someone's gonna say, that's wrong. But again, out there in the community, that's how HUA operates. They take care of the well, they maintain the storage shed or the storage tank, they maintain the pipeline. Whether it's night or day, but versus at night, when HUA's out there with their backhoe trying to fix these water lines, that bursts, that's O&M. But on this big pipeline, that's a base, it's just a water break. Is gonna cost a lot of money, you're gonna have to get a water, a rig well around there. And you don't know how many days it's gonna be offline. You just don't know. So that's just my thought of this. And then the individual communities, as you come down 491. The lateral that's coming off of the Sinopsky community. You know, sheep spring, burn. You know, or down to you know, all the community stuff, how are we, you know, are they gonna tie into, and we look at the $30 million, that's gonna be earmarked. You know, but $30 million is not much. You know, if you're gonna have welding and to get a tap in. To tap into El Paso natural gas. Is to set in a tap in key, but in 2019, what we were told was it was over $1 million. Just tap into that natural gas line. And what is the cost to tap into that pressure when the pressurized water system is activated? I'm like, what is the cost to tap into it? That these communities are gonna have to pay for. So that's just my thoughts, again, I see a lot of uncertainties for the future. And so, without sissy, so this is why I ask these questions and then to the Bureau of Reclamation, thank you for trying hard for learning Navajo, speaking it. I'm gonna tell you. You cannot say you forgot how to speak your language. That's some of the excuses that are out there. But again, you're non-Navajo, that you're working on the Navajo Nation, trying to find that gap to get communication to the people. I used to work with Salvadorans. I had to be among them to understand the communication with these Salvadorians. I had to learn their language. It's hard, but you have to do that in order to make your work better productive. And I appreciate your willingness to learn Navajo and things like that and continue. The Navajo language and the Chinese Mandarin language are the two hardest languages in the world. So thank you. You're actually using your neck muscles. All right. Thank you.
Rishi, thank you, Chair Otto. So, in regards to, Chair Otto's question on the O and M. And then also, I just want to, add a question to that. I know that Honorable Danny Simpson had dropped a legislation to, I guess, revert some of those IHS dollars. Is that funding going to assist with what is being shared here with us today? If you guys could, you gentlemen could just expound on that as well. I think, Robert, you might know about it because of those meetings. So I just wanted to add that also. Thank you.
Either way.
Ja, na het één van de hospital. Ja, ik had mij kilo ja. When dat kilo sheen ja, na jalo get BT kilo. So it I want to not case and I'll get so O&M the nini O&M. It's a huge critical piece of all these pipelines that we build, even though it's small projects or huge projects. O&M is a really critical piece. Pipeline operating, yeah. So ahead of time, we need to know how much that's going to cost. How much is the O&M? How much is the yearly cost? The fixed costs, the variable cost. Yeah, so there are fixed costs for O&M. There's variable costs for O&M. Depending on how much you use or what kind of capital bits, the infrastructure, so all it basically so it costs money to operate all of this on the Canada Wantaki and we just assumed that NTA was gonna take that over and operate it. Basically need I see both so we always have to include that. And in this particular case, there's several avenues. One is Nano Kiluya, and then the other one is O&M subsidies that even though the pipeline is done, the federal government still has an obligation to pay that O&M on behalf of the Navajo Nation, or the Korea Apache Nation, but not the city of India. So, and so it's part of those things. Although part of the settlement dollars was the New Mexico or Navajo Nation settlement dollars, trust fund, which is I think we're dropping legislation on how to spend that fund management plan in the area. So part of that, a certain percentage of that is O&M account. So that's how important it is. So and then of course with the amendment, the O&M, the additional $30 million, that's in there too as well. So they do so that we see that, and I think. Don't get so hot. See, you have a beast, this is a huge pipeline. That's sized for 50 years out in the future. In 2004, even that when we were working on this, even before that, how many people are gonna be out there in Sanasi chapter or Tohachi? Or Fort Defiance? It was really hard for us to answer that. But we tried as best as we can, so we tried to see how much the demand is gonna be for these chapters. And we said this is the demand for the year 2040 or the year 2050, but and that's what we're working with. Of course, back then, we had a robust growth rate we thought was like 2.48%. We were using up to 160 gallons per capita per day. That's what our neighboring chapters were using. So that's why we have that high GCPD. That's how we came up with this demand. So what happened in reality? Everybody's working out in Denver, out of Albuquerque. We have an out migration of natural residents. But our on reservation population, it says this has become really important. We have a 18-wheeler truck, but we only need like a small car with a man in the husband. So how are we gonna do that transition? So the Queen that's what we're always thinking about and thinking ahead. So one of the things we're coming up with a lot of innovative approaches. One of them is deferred construction, meaning that you don't build the full pump station. You build a smaller pump station, but you leave the footprint of the full demand in there. So that's why we're building these huge pump stations, but maybe we only have a couple of pumps in there that's gonna do for the like phase one or the smaller size tank, but we still have enough footprint for an additional tank. So so those are innovative approaches that the nation and the Bureau of Reclamation are doing on a phase approach of the So we can't do anything about the pipeline. Once the pipeline is in there, we can't do anything about it because we can't change that. We can't phase that. We can't defer construction that. So so the only thing we're doing is what we can work with, which is tanks, pumps, even the water treatment plant, so that's like a phased approach. So that's one of the ways we're doing this is instead of having a full out facility and the end of 2029, we're gonna have a scaled down version that can be upgraded as demand grows. So that's helps with O&M. So those are just some of the things so those are a lot of things that we're always talking about and discussing and making changes, but changes again, it goes to the Bureau of Reclamation and usually it comes from us, but a lot of times we have a lot of discussions about that. Happens so we're having connection plans that to a certain point, the sediment dollars will pay that connection into these communities, but they're not gonna be full connections all the way. So it's only gonna be it's basically a tap in and then I think there's like a turnout building and then there's a line that goes out to the local HUA tank. That's it. So, and then what we're working on beyond that with Sauter Miller and Associates with capital outlay dollars or the Bureau of Reclamation dollars or navigation dollars is how do we go from the tank into the whole system? What needs to be upgraded? All of these things, I've been not dealers. So all of those things I live in dealers. So we do have Sauter Miller here and they are working on the connection plans on 491. So I think that's one of the things I wanted to bring out. It was a great opportunity. The city of Gallup came to the application and said, we want to lease water from you guys. And Anhito Tatatini. And not me, but I think back then, the nomination council and the RDC said, no, we don't want to do that. I think. So the city turned around and they went to
Korea.
the Hickory Apache Nation, and they're now leasing water from them. So there's a lot of concern, a lot of residents out there saying that it's navigable water going to the city of Gallup. Want to go to data. This is the city of Gallup water that they lease from the Hickory Apache Nation of the deep. So, and the other thing too is they're getting the free ride. Well, but now, yeah, Tommy said, no, none of the settlement dollars is paying for their capital share. So they're paying for their own share, and that's why they have that, so even as the owner, you need to yeah. So they have to pay whatever's delivered to the city of Gallup, they have to pay their share. All the upstream reaches the all the way up to the intake, they have to pay their share. They put that, so, I don't know, the, O&M is a huge thing, and I think, well, I'll leave it up to Ryan to kind of talk a little bit about that, like.
I think Robert covered it really well, but those are great points, and definitely important points. It is a beast, it is a huge system, it's gonna cost you a lot of money. It's built in a lot of ways, Robert talked about how there's deferred construction, and that does help, but the system itself is still designed. Unlike anything I've ever worked on, it's hundreds of miles of pipe, and to get that water that far costs a lot of money, for sure, and the treatment process is always expensive, no matter where. Repairs on a line that large are expensive, and so I think, you're asking very important questions. On the cutter lateral, and then Robert, I think you mentioned this, we did transfer O&M responsibility, but we are still reimbursing that. So in the legislation, there was a clause for a waiver to pay. N2A has demonstrated we can fund that entire O&M cost with the amount of customers that they have, and that's very understandable. I would expect similar on the sample lateral, but it is something still that we need to talk about, and those amendments would help greatly with that fund there, that trust fund for open water. And that's kind of where we sit right now, is waiting for those amendments to go out, to get passed so that money is there and available. And in the meantime, relying on that waiver to pay so that, that bill can be covered at least. Because again, it's understandable with the amount of customers, that bill is gonna be too high to pay. And I think other than that, as far as tap-ins, Robert did cover, what we've tried to do is make those tap-ins as affordable as possible. So where we are tapping in, we're putting in valving and what's required there, so that in a flange, so that when the nation comes to connect to, you're able to just bring a pipe up to a flange and connect, so it won't be a hot tap or anything like that. And then open a valve and be able to get water through. It's still expensive anyway with any construction, but try to do what we can to minimize those costs, for sure. I think Robert covered everything unless I missed anything.
Okay, I think that is good. So one of the recommendation that I just want possibly Department of Water Resources and maybe N2A to look at this option before moving back here onto the Navajo Nation within the city of Gallup back in 2016. Through their utility bill, they were already adding what they called a Navajo Gallup water line fee at $3.43 back in 2016. So it's hitting 9 years since they've been collecting. And the question to the city of Gallup was, what is this, expense? And they said that it's this whole system that they invested in, and it's for operation and maintenance. And since, constituents are going to be utilizing the water, maybe we as constituents need to take up that opportunity to reinvest in these big investments. And why can't N2A and Department of Water Resources look to something like that, if just adding a little bit of cost, because every household, you keep adding up, and at least you got some partial O&M, costs that can be put into like an escrow account that could possibly be utilized for O&M down the road. So these are some of the options, but it just needs to be shared with our constituents across Navajo Nation as to why maybe that small percentage or even a dollar amount is going to be added, but that's an option. But again, gentlemen, I do appreciate the report here today and the sharing of this information. I just like to applaud, to Department of Water Resources and Bureau of Reclamation for continuously, looking forward in what we want to call this water equity on Navajo Nation, and looking out furthermore to where regaining that population growth, and also looking out for our residential and commercial developments and the efforts that is put forward along with SMA. I know that they've been, boots on the ground as well a lot. So we appreciate this report here today. And one of the other recommendation I'd like to make is it possible if you can share this with other colleagues of the Navajo Nation in regards to your PowerPoint presentation. And again, we are here, but if we could just share that PowerPoint with the full 25th Navajo Nation Council, I think that would be great, just to keep them informed. And I think the slides are pretty much self-explanatory. And if they don't know, then they can definitely reach out to one of us or either members or colleagues with Department of Water Resources or Bureau of Reclamation. So that's pretty much what I wanted to add to. Yeah. So with that, colleagues, we do have a motion on the floor. What I do with my agenda. I do have a motion to accept the report by Honorable Vice Chair Johnson, second by Honorable Chair Ottoso. So at this time, if no more questions, I'd like to go ahead and take this report from Water Resources and BOR to a roll call vote. Going once, going twice. With that, Honorable Vice Chair Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Keystone Johnson will approve.
Thank you. Honorable Claw, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Chair Nez is excused. Honorable Chair Simpson is excused. Honorable Chair Ottoso, how do you vote?
Great.
Thank you. So with that, colleagues, we have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting. And again, gentlemen, we do appreciate the update information with the efforts going on with this. And I really hope that Congress really does consider this bill. But if it's in terms of advocacy, I'm hoping that this committee will be able to travel up to DC in November, because this is not the only area. We've got other areas regarding legacy mines and whatnot that we have to advocate for, that is under the realm of RDC. So we'll go ahead and keep Mr. John and Mr. Kirk in the loop about that as well. Thank you. All right, yeah, safe travels, and thank you for all the work that you do. Going on to item letter D, under received reports. It's a report from NAFI, Navajo Agricultural Products Industry, and we do have presenter Mr. Lawrence Platero. He's not here, so it would be yourself, or who's gonna?
Yeah, Dustin Johnson,
Dustin Johnson,
their vice chair,
Vice Chair.
myself.
Okay,
It's
Mr.
our auditing firm.
Okay, auditing firm.
Want to go into executive session as always had with that.
Okay, yeah, we definitely can, colleagues, they're requesting for executive session. For how long would you say?
I would hope it could be a lot less than 30 minutes, but it depends on your questions.
I think, they've always gave us a report in, half an hour, Spiela, colleagues. Okay, let's go into executive session, with the report from NAPI, for half an hour, 30 minutes. And, so who from NAPI team is going to go into the auditors,
Auditors here and
vice president,
really does, yeah, he was here somewhere.
Dustin
Johnson.
Dustin Johnson,
He had to step up, take a message, so.
and who else? Yourself?
Sure. Well, we're involved. Ms. Horner, the CFO.
Okay, CFO, okay. And General Manager Zellinger, okay,
We
so,
have 2 then we have 3 board members if you want them involved.
Yeah.
sure, all the, yeah, we'll go into the room here. And then we'll have members of the Resources and Development Committee, and then our advisor. So for 30 minutes, so colleagues, may I get a motion to go into executive session for 30 minutes with NAPI to give us a financial overview. Motion by Chair Otto, may I get a second?
Second.
Honorable Claw, thank you, colleagues. So I'd like to go ahead and take this to roll call vote. Honorable Vice Chair Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Johnson, it's good.
Thank you. Honorable Claw, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Chair Nez is excused. Honorable Chair Danny Simpson is excused. And Honorable Chair Otto, how do you vote?
Great.
So with that, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Chair not voting. So we'll go into executive session for 30 minutes, starting at 3:38 p.m. with NAPI. I think they gave us the handout too.
Oh, yes.